ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we're in Diabolus Kingdom here, the UKLC. We're nearing the top of the tower. My name is Scoundrel, joined by Dan Orcs Harrison, and we're going to be delving into the semi-finals in just a few moments' time, where we have a stonker of matchup. XL taking on Fnatic in our first semi-final, and then we have Phelan taking on M&M, the winners of which will clash, and then we'll go on to face Diabolus at the top of the tower.
Yeah, I feel like every match today is going to be high stakes, both teams giving their all, so I'm just excited for it to start.
Me too. And so, if you want to get involved in the conversation, which you should do, because if you're not getting involved in the conversation, I'm personally very disappointed in you. I'm going to look you in the eyes right now. Get involved in the conversation. Hashtag UKLC at LVPUK on Twitter. That is where I want to hear all of your thoughts. You can tweet myself, Dan, Jake, Borja, Maya, anybody that's in existence. Dogchamp. You can tweet our dog, our resident UKLC dog. Tell us what you think, who you're predicting to win, who your fan favourites, if you like apples, all of these things we want to hear from you. At UKLC at LVPUK on Twitter. Also, if you want to catch any of the VODs that we've had from the previous broadcasts, and also our broadcast last year, which was the Forge of Champions, you can go to LVP UK on YouTube and check out all of the wonderful videos of our faces shouting at League of Legends and Jake messing up all of his play-by-play segments because we love him so much. Oh, speaking of Jake, which I so brilliantly introduced him, he is over on the sidelines ready to talk through some of the upcoming matches.
Yeah, thanks guys for that. Hi guys, HitBrain here. We're going to have a little breakdown of our games coming up today and everything to expect coming into day 2, week 5. We're actually nearing the end here, the UKLC, at least for the main season, as we've only got 2 weeks left after this week, but Diabolus are at the top of the tower. So let's have a little look at the standings and where we are currently here in the UKLC. So this is the bracket. So yesterday, obviously, we had our round of 8, and now we've got Fnatic versus XL as our first game of the day, and our second game of the day is going to be M&M versus Phelan. I can't wait to see who's going to win here, because XL versus Fnatic is going to be such a tight game. Both of these teams have so much to prove. Both ex-Tower champions, but you know, Fnatic last week got knocked out at the beginning of the week by M&M. M&M have to take on Phelan now. If they can get that win, this might be another shot for M&M to try and get themselves to the top of that tower. So be real nice for them, but you know, Diabolus are the team also defending for the moment. But before we go into our first matchup, I actually do want to see the scoreboard, see where everyone is sitting coming out of the first day of week 5. So Diabolus do remain at the top of the tower with 13 points, Fnatic Rising with 12 points, and yes, they are the 2-time champion. XL with 9 points, but they are tied with M&M. So if XL lose to Fnatic and M&M beat Phelan, M&M will actually overtake them, take 3rd space, securing that spot for themselves and knocking XL down into 4th. So it's actually a lot on the line here, and it's not just like Phelan are out. Yes, they've got 2 points, but if they can pull a miracle out the bag today, get a win over XL, then beat either over M&M, and then beat Fnatic or XL, they can then go into the tower challenge, maybe dethrone Diabolus and put themselves at the top of the tower and suddenly claw themselves to 4th to 5th spot in the scoreboard. So even though we're only 2 weeks away from the end of the season, there's so much going on. There's so much upsets that are still capable of happening. And we've seen upsets all season long as well. So it's been really, really exciting on that front. But without further ado, I think it's time we go into our first game of the day, which is going to be XL taking on Fnatic Rising. So I'm really excited to get delving into this and having a look at our rosters and who's playing for who. So first of all, we'll be starting off with our team on the blue side, which will be XL. So hopefully we'll bring that roster up right now. There we are. All right, so Sendo in that top lane. You've got Taxa in the jungler. Exile is the mid, and Inax and Kasing as the bot lane. Kasing getting pulled in from the LEC last week to play on this XL roster. Lost his first game of the season, but did win yesterday, pulling out the Tahm Kench. But they will be taking on Fnatic Rising, who are currently 2nd place here on the ladder. So let's bring up their roster. You can see Shikari in the top lane, Dan is the jungler, Maja Felix in the mid lane, and it is X-Matty and Prosper as their bot lane duo. So it's hard to call who I think is actually going to take this game. I think we've got 2 very different styles. Fnatic, you know, they go for a more macro focused play. Well, XL, they've been kind of fighty this whole way through. But let's pass it over to our casters for our first game of the day.
Nicely timed, Jake, because the camera just turned towards us. We were getting a little bit dicey. We were like, are we going to have to like pop up in front of the camera over here? Anyway, we are jumping into our first game of the day, and myself and Dan will be guiding you through what is bound to be one of the most exciting matches of the week. XL taking on Fnatic, our two LEC teams with their sort of UK-based rosters going head-to-head. Fnatic still running with no LEC members pulled down to their roster. XL have pulled 2 LEC members down to their UKLC roster, and that means that we have got a little bit of a dicey matchup. I think that we're going to have some fun with this.
I think it's stylistic differences as well, is that we saw yesterday Fnatic had a very controlled, slow game. XL were more, we want to make things happen. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up against each other here, but both of them looking for redemption because, I mean, if you didn't watch last week, what were you doing? But XL, they lost in the first round, second week running, which was a bit embarrassing. And then Fnatic were top of the tower, I believe, and then got knocked down by M&M, and then got knocked down out of the first round by Enclave. So both of them had a dire previous weeks, and although they're still pretty high in points, they really need to get things together if they want to ensure their spots at the top.
Yeah, pretty important matchup, especially for XL. Now, both XL and M&M are pretty clear of that 5th place position right now, so there's going to have to be some serious changes up in terms of the standings for either of them to get knocked off out of that playoff position. But you don't want to go in as the LEC team and the UKLC as 4th seed, you know, into that playoff position. So XL especially, they've got a lot of pressure on themselves to perform in this particular situation.
I think it's a fact as well that you have Exile and Kasing, who are such veteran players, and then you're not winning. It really questions what is going on with the team. So I know they definitely want to set the record straight and crush Fnatic today, but I'm sure Fnatic want to do the same in reverse.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a massive rivalry because, you know, we take that LEC team rivalry and we're putting that into the UK as well. The 2 UK organizations that have that professional level League of Legends team right at the top of the European competition, now facing off each other in the semi-finals of our UKLC. And again, remember, if Fnatic or XL lose this matchup, there could be massive position shifts in the standings, which will play into either seeding or even maybe XL losing a position in the playoffs if things don't go their way over the next few weeks.
Yeah, especially when we have Phelan on the other match. If they start to gain a ton of points, that's when it starts to get dicey. We'll get into the draft, and XL pretty heavily targeting Dan. We've seen the Olaf that he played yesterday. We've seen Jin Zhao taken away from him as well. Fnatic not really going for anything. The Nico ban is fairly standard on red side on this patch. I think every team is going to ban it, but then going for the Thresh away from Kasing. Pretty interesting because we saw him take more for, he played Galio in his first game in the UKLC, and then he played Tom Kench. It was very much more I want to make map things happen rather than I want to make plays in the bot lane. So potentially Fnatic are scared that they might go for a strong 2v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoe coming banned out as well, maybe against Magi Felix. I'm really excited to see the Magi Felix versus Exile matchup. I think that in particular is really interesting. Magi Felix, who's been touted as an LEC level mid laner based on his solo queue performances, taking on an LEC mid laner who has moved down to the UKLC roster. Rise banned against Exile, so unsurprisingly a lovely respect ban going out towards Exile, and we're waiting to see the first picks for Fnatic, and with Lucian up, immediately locked in for Inax. This is an Inax special as well.
Yeah, we were talking about the Nico ban being a sort of permanent on red side. Lucian is fairly common as well, and being left open, it's no surprise Inax takes that. He's consistently played that when it's available. Does go over to Fnatic now. Jarvan's available. They have, you know, the Lissandra's available. They have things like the Galio available, but very quickly locking in quite an aggressive jungle mid duo, assuming the Lissandra's mid, but a lot of engage potential to potentially shut down that Lucian. Yeah, and you know, there are a lot of power picks left up, like you said, the Jarvan, which can still be flexed in this particular scenario to give XL a bit of flexibility, which I think, you know, there are a lot of options to put Jarvan into a composition like this. It gives you a lot of great engage in the mid game for running with the Lucian. The Lissandra Nocturne early combo, though, what do you make of that? Because that isn't a very aggressive lock-in in this particular sort of update. I mean, to me, that screams we want to roam. Once we get level 6 in our mid jungle, we just want to pressure the side lanes. The fact that they gave the Lucian open, there's no way that they just go, oh, we forgot about Lucian. That was deliberate. They knew that would get first pick, so I think this is their answer. They know that Lucian's going to be in the bot lane, so they're looking to punish it, and they're looking to apply a lot of pressure there. And, you know, Lissandra, Nocturne, once those champions are 6, there's no real way to hide from them. If you're in the side lane, you're going to receive pressure when they move down there. And we do see Tax to pick up the Elise. He did play this exact same matchup yesterday against Barrage, the Elise into the Nocturne, so he put a lot of pressure topside for that, so if they get a good matchup here, we could see that again, and then round it out the Galio for Kasing, which again, goes to what he's been playing in the UKLC, he wants to impact the map.
So we've seen some dicey Elise games from people like Nolte, who haven't really had that impact early. And Taxa is a guy who's played a lot of Elise over his career. It's kind of one of his go-to champions in the jungle, so kind of finding a home back onto that Elise pick. The Galio coming in, I think for Kasing here, you would say that's likely going to be for Kasing. A, denies it from Prosfair, but B also gives a really powerful anti-engage and also follow-up engage tool as well, should they go for something like the Jarvan. It's a little bit late in the draft for the Jarvan at this point in time, but again, if you find that wombo combo engage, you've always got that option with the Galio Jarvan, which is a very popular combo that we have in the meta right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that will concern me is, because if they were to pick the Jarvan out, it has to go top lane. They've left counter pick to Fnatic, so if they wanted to, they could go for something like the Yorick again, and we saw how effective that was in their game yesterday against Darkspawn. So unless they decide to ban out that now, they're in a position where it might be a bit dicey, but I feel like knowing Sendo, you wouldn't go particularly for the Jarvan, you go for something that can more hold its own in the 1v1, especially when you saw they went Renekton, Elise yesterday's game.
You could see Camille from
and
Sendo
they just
as well.
pressured the top so much. Potentially, I think the risk with that is that you don't know if Fnatic are going to pick their AD carry. If Fnatic, presumably they'll take the AD carry in the next rotation because XL is most likely already picked that bot lane. So you would think that they take AD carry now, they leave it over to XL to decide the top lane pick, and then they go for a counter matchup for Shikari.
What AD carry would you be looking at now with the Braum, with the Kai'Sa, and the Ezreal?
I mean, we've seen Sivir might play the yesterday. It's pretty good effect. It works here for that level 6 sort of go in. You could go for someone with a bit more range if you want to have more safety in the lane.
Tristana, maybe.
I mean, if they're just,
that's a confident pick. That's a confident pick coming out of Xmati.
It's a good lane matchup into the Lucian because you can tumble away from his piercing light, and the range difference is pretty similar. So that's one of Vayne's weaknesses. But when you get to the point in teamfights, you can follow up so easily with that with the final hour.
So now we wait for XL to round this composition out. If you're looking at their base here, what are you expecting beyond this? What are your thoughts? Oh, okay. That is a Sejuani locked in for XL alongside the Elise. Are we looking at a potential top lane Sejuani?
I think it's probably a top lane Sejuani. I think the fact that they hovered some jungle picks was to try and make the other team think, oh, it's a jungle Sejuani. I doubt it. I would be very surprised if they were playing Elise somewhere else.
I mean, I haven't seen Elise top lane since she was released.
Yeah, so I think it might well be. No, it's all gone out the window.
What? Okay. I'm assuming it's Sejuani mid.
It could be Sejuani support, Galio mid, Renekton top, Elise jungle. It could even be Elise support. There's a lot of variations this could be.
This could be anything.
It's a lot of flexes, but the question I got to ask is, will it be able to answer Fnatic's pretty heavy engage composition they've rounded out with a Vayne to carry? And we see the pick come out from Shikari, which is like Kennen. It makes a lot of sense.
Because it deals with everything, right? It deals with almost everything.
Well, not just that, but I think if you look at that composition, the one pick you're almost definitely certain on is it's probably going to be Renekton top. I say that, but it may not be. But
I thought the one pick you'd be set on is probably Elise jungle and obviously Lucian AD carry.
You'd think. I think we're going to have to wait and see until things get switched over. But I know Kennen has a good matchup into Renekton.
Does Kennen have a good matchup into Sejuani?
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Okay, okay.
But like, I expect it's going to be the Renekton top, and if that means Sejuani mid, that'd be very interesting. But I think they might switch it last second. We'll have to wait.
This is the cutoff now.
20 seconds.
They can't switch beyond this. So it is Sendo playing a Renekton top, Exile playing Sejuani mid, Kasing running with that combo with the Lucian in the bot lane with the Galio Lucian, and then we've got Taxa playing the Elise jungle. Now, my worry is here that there is a certain point in this game where this composition drops off the cliff.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
What? I'm gonna stand here. What the hell was that? I saw the Vayne and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I saw the Renekton.
I saw the Vayne and I was like, this is going to be a fun game. I've not seen a Vayne in a while. Vayne always
the thing that seemed interesting to me was that they picked Vayne. What is Vayne good at killing?
Tanks.
Okay, so then they're like, oh, let's take a Sejuani. I'm like, I don't know, they have something planned.
Before we get into the game, I was told to give you some cards and you guys can make predictions, but that's boring. So I want you to pick a card, any card. All right. And I want you to reveal why that team that I've given you, why you think they're going to win.
Okay, I got it. They haven't gone for a boosted draft.
Okay, well, I've got the more difficult one, which is XL. I think they're hoping to catch them off guard. I think Sejuani got some of her base damages changes, and I expect this might be a pick where they're just going to put a lot of damage into the mid lane, and I think just catch Magic Felix off guard. That is the plan. They want to win mid game and just go on from there.
Well, I believe we are ready to go into game, so I'm just going to take off. See you later.
Oh, what are you predicting, Jake?
XL, one.
XL, okay,
Yeah.
2 for 1. I mean, I actually just pulled a card at random. I didn't actually get an opportunity to predict it.
I didn't get a pull. I didn't have a choice. So.
I just got given Fnatic. I actually would have gone for XL just because of the meme level draft
I
that we've
probably
got
would
here.
have gone for Fnatic for the opposite reason, but you know.
Okay,
we get what we're given.
This is going to be a good one. Let's see how this pans out. And now this would definitely have been a thought process going in for XL. You don't just draft Sejuani, but you don't just get like halfway through the draft and go, well, we've screwed it up, boys. Let's just draft Sejuani mid, right?
It's similar when I said them leaving the Lucian open. They always plan for this. It wasn't a misclick. They went into this with a plan. So this is clearly something Exile has practiced. They'll have played it in scrims.
All right.
And there'll be a reason to pick it.
All right, veteran, if you're watching, because I know you sometimes do, please tweet with the hashtag UKLC as to what the hell is going on. As we jump into the game between XL and Fnatic. XL with one of the weirdest compositions I have seen in quite a long time.
Now, the concern for me is that XL will lack damage later on, as you said. But it's also going to be interesting to see whether Exile goes for a more tanky or more AP-focused build than Sejuani.
No, we've got full AP Sejuani, surely. I just don't understand how this team wins if you go tanky Sejuani against a Vayne.
Well, in the mid game, like you're going to be strong. Like tanks are super strong in the mid game, and a Vayne isn't going to do that much damage to a tank until she gets like 2 items.
Here's my thought process. You ready? You ready for the thought process of
Hit me with
Excandra?
it.
We've got a poll, by the way, in Twitch chat, and it will tell you 1 or 2 who you want to vote for, and we'll reveal the results pretty soon. Here's my thought process. Until Vayne gets like 3 items, you're going to do no damage as Fnatic to this tank lineup, really.
I'd say 2, to be honest.
2 items? Okay, 2 items.
Blader and King Ginsu's.
Okay, fair enough. That's a pretty good 2-item spike. So XL have got like a limited period of time where Kennen and Lissandra are going to be next to useless versus the beefy tank lineup, right?
Yeah.
But that's a timer that they have to work with. This is the hardest composition timer I have ever seen in my life.
That's the thing, though. We're making assumptions here. I haven't seen a Sejuani mid recently, so maybe it didn't. I'm guessing it doesn't, but maybe it scales insanely well. That's what we don't know.
Well, if it's AP Sejuani, I used to get destroyed by AP Sejuanis in solo queue that actually scaled horrendously well.
I think the problem is that later on, once Matty gets defensive items and doesn't get one hit, you're going to struggle. Plus, the rest of the composition for XL doesn't scale super amazingly. But either way, what I hope to look at for the side of XL is pressure from that Elise, make things happen in the top or mid lane.
Well, you've got kill lanes in every lane, right? You can actually go into any lane pre-6 and find something.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan's going to be farming things away on this Nocturne. This is what he likes to do. He likes to farm and wait for his level 6. So I don't expect to see a ton of movement from Dan before then, apart from just picking up camps.
He's going to get both River Scuttlers here. Which is pretty good boost to his experience gain in the early game, and something that maybe Tax had just overlooked. Tax is not going to be able to punish on the blue side of the map.
I feel like it's just Dan's pathing Kingdom. This is the game he plays. He wants to get as many camps as possible, and Tax are not making the nullity mistake, which is to contest the Scuttle at level 2 and die on Elise. So these things gone better now, but he is heading towards that bot side. Has got his double buff, so in a pretty strong position right now as Elise, but unfortunately, he won't get spotted out here.
Oh, Prosper walks straight onto the top of him right now. Matty and Prosper going in on Tax, and Tax is going to be forced to flash in just a moment as he will repel. Oh, we're waiting for a flash play from Kasing. Oh! What a monster! Kasing absolutely destroys them. That was the perfect bait. They've lost so many minions. XL off to a big start.
That looked so bad, but it worked out so good. And I think Matty and Prosper just... they didn't expect it. And we did get a poll result. Fnatic won by 71%. Unfortunately, you can't change that right now because I think some people might want to change their votes after that play. Oh, it's just monstrous. And the trust in his teammates for Kasing to go, right, I'll channel my taunt. Don't flash over. We're going in. It's just flawless play that ends up rewarding them massively. In I didn't think they would be able to gank bot lane. It was shoved in. I thought they were just he was gonna come bot and try and steal some camps, but that was some next level baits.
That was great. I feel like Xmati and Prosper should have seen the rotation from Inax and Kasing. You got to realize that Galio can flash over the wall.
Yeah.
But let's not take away how well orchestrated that was. I felt like it was set up from the start almost. Either it was a great piece of team reaction from XL, or it was just genuinely pretty calculated.
I think Fnatic just wanted to ensure the flash from Elise was used, and they weren't walking away. They felt confident at that distance because I guess they expected Kasing to have walked over, but I don't think they expected for him to fully channel his Taunt and then just flash over with it. And I think a big factor as well is that Mighty had Cleanse and Prosper had Flash. They were confident they wouldn't die, but they just didn't recognize the amount of damage that comes out from this Elise.
Yeah, really heavy burst damage, especially level 3 on the Elise
Plus
too.
The Galio has a lot of damage for a support champion.
Yeah, I mean, the Justice Punch, huge...
yeah, and the passive and
yeah.
just everything. So all came together and given a strong start to XL, but this is what they need. This is what their composition needs. And interestingly, we will see it's going to be an AP cannon from Shikari. I most likely think from that the penetration boots. He has had a very good lane matchup into Sendo so far, getting very far ahead in CS. And this is to be expected. Kennen has a good lane matchup into Renekton, especially he has Kleptomancy, so he's going to get even more gold from that. So this Kennen is going to be a big problem in the late game. Not so much as a split pusher, but as a I'm going to one-hit everything on your backline, which fortunately for XL, there's not many backline champions.
There's a one backline. Taxa's now heading into the top lane, going in onto Shikari, who has got his ultimate. It's a nice piece of pathing from Shikari, though. Going to get him out nice and safely. He is level 6 too, so Taxa will have to be a little careful here. Dan's responded really well by going straight for this Infernal Drake, though.
Yeah, it was just really good moves from Shikari. Instantly got that stun to deny Sendo from locking him down. And as soon as that possibility was gone, he just managed to walk away scot-free. And now, Dan taking that dragon, which we saw yesterday, a bit of a mixed bag on which dragons are spawning, but getting Infernal for the first one and pick it up, definitely what you want from Fnatic, because it just makes that scaling even more dicier for XL.
Yeah, and XL also won't be gifted the free stats for a composition that maybe needs those free stats to give a bit more longevity to what they can do here. The pressure seems like it's on Taxa right now. XL's rotating top. There is still a flash and ultimate from Shikari.
He did just use his E.
Yep.
So if they lock him down, he can definitely go down here, but I think they're erring on the side of safety because Dan is coming, but Dan is level 5.
Ooh, Exile, there we go. He's going to spot that control ward out. Exile just waiting up here next to Dan. Yeah, I'm going to get anything done with Shikari, and Exile's just going to have to back off. Lost a little bit of experience in that mid lane. May even lose some turret plating now for Magi Felix too. But the bot lane's going well. That's a big point of contention now for XL. They're doing so well with NX and Kasing and just in complete control. Yeah,
Kasing's Ignite actually comes back up, and he puts a lot of pressure on Mai. Mai doesn't bring any summoners, but has to back off, and that's a lot of turret plating going down. And this is a difficult. You pick that Vayne pick. I said it's okay in the 1v1 matchup, but clearly they're falling really far behind after that gank, and it takes a while for this pick to come online.
I think you rub salt in the wounds now if you're XL. You've got a great turret diving ability with the Sejuani able to roam from mid to bot lane. You have a very small amount of turret plating left in that bot lane turret. I mean, you could, if XL you wanted to, take that turret super early and rotate top. Just take Renekton out of that matchup and try and put pressure across the map.
I think you absolutely can. Also, you'd be in a position where you'd swap away the Renekton cannon lane, which isn't a fun matchup for the Crocodile.
Yes.
So it makes a lot of sense to go for that. But for now, they will just obviously still go bot, keep applying that pressure, because the item differential between Inax and Mai is pretty significant now. They're in a good position to keep pressuring the lane.
Dan now level 6, so he has that option to just start to roam towards lanes, and bot lane is a pretty good lane that he might want to look to impact with that ultimate.
Yeah,
could be top lane too.
We saw Kasing and Inax playing very aggressive yesterday into a Nocturne, not respecting the level 6 ult, and they actually fell to it. So the same thing could happen here if they overstep. They have to respect the fact that the engage range from a Nocturne is just way bigger than you can account for from other champions.
Yeah, absolutely, and it also means that Kasing will have his ult, unless he's right next to Inax, will have that ultimate shut down too, can't use it as easily, so we'll never be able to sort of peel off. But Inax and Kasing are in complete control on that bottom side, and that is what is important here, I think, because Vayne, I really feel, is the linchpin for the Fnatic composition in the way that you beat XL easily in the late game. Yeah,
the sooner the Vayne comes online, the sooner she has not only a core items, but some defensives to survive that burst from XL, then she's just going to be able to shred everything that comes near her. But for now, XL have that advantage, about 1.5k gold ahead, just under. but they have to keep the momentum going. And the thing is, we've seen Exile consistently roam, and he's fallen almost 20 sets behind because of it. But nothing has been found yet, so Fnatic very much respecting the Sejuani pick, and so far it hasn't done very much.
Well, you can see the first turret of the game goes down to XL. You see an immediate rotation out of Fnatic. I think predicting that XL will make that rotation up towards the top side of the map. But right now, Inax is just going to shove another wave in. I think he'll end up backing off though. So yeah, I mean, Fnatic immediately predicting the XL rotation.
It's a good situation that XL stayed to push that wave though, because all those minions on the bot lane are just being missed. No one's there to pick them up. So that's essentially a net win for XL on the map. They should get to top lane in time to pick up these minions, and so they ended up pretty favorably. It does mean the one advantage Fnatic picked up there was they got to the top side first. So if you look at the vision control, they established it already in the top side of the river. They've got things set up for that Rift Herald if they want it. But now that Inax and Kasing turn up who are stronger, they have to be respectful, because look at that CS difference.
Yeah, it's
between
huge.
carries.
Absolutely huge right now, almost bordering on 40 in favor of Inax. And that was all set up because of that Taxa and Kasing play in the early game. Really well played from XL in general. And they maybe look to just continuously do what they did before. I mean, they've got top lane pressure now. They can very likely set up for a Rift Herald play with the Sejuani rotating top, because they have all of that top side pressure. And Dragon up in 30 seconds, if they can draw attention towards the Rift Herald, they can probably ignore the Dragon for the most part. They can just focus on getting the turrets and pushing the game that way.
Yeah, it's a Cloud Dragon. I wouldn't be too concerned about giving this one away. The Infernal was a bit of an issue, but the next one I think you can just sort of give up on. The concern is going to be if Shikari decides to TP in, he is very strong. I feel like he can probably recall soon and grab a Proto Belt, and then a TP in with that is just going to be so powerful. But for now, XL saw the Rift Herald, but I'm seeing pings come in. I think Fnatic want to contest this, or at least look for a steal. Yeah,
well, Dan's definitely got his ultimate up. Here comes Matty and Prosper rotating down. You can also see Shikari moving up from the bottom side of the map. This is going to be a 5 versus 4 if XL are careful. Here comes a Nocturne, a big taunt onto the Vayne. She's not the target this ideally want to go for, but they get the immediate kill. Shikari now moving in from the side. That is going to be a zone away by Kasing. Shikari cannot get into the fight, and he's now going to get focused. Too late on the ultimate, gets nothing done with it as they take down yet another member of Fnatic, and XL take the fight that they need.
And they just dismantle them. I feel like Fnatic are looking for these fights way too early. No one on your team, as you said, can cut through this front line from XL. This Sejuani just seems invincible. Until she's
does
not.
eventually go down, but that is a lovely flash cocoon onto MagiFelix, who's now going to be the target. Taxa, unfortunately, has to repel away. He's so careful, and Kasing, nice body block just to make sure Shikari can't find that final attack. And actually, the Rift Herald didn't get enough done. But if you look on the top side of the map, Renekton is pushing a big wave into that top tower.
Yeah, still a big gold advantage. We'll break this team fight down afterwards. So can I come in, and I feel like because they can flank them, they're in a good position, but it's very aggressive play from XL, from Kasing, starts the fight off well. Dan goes in, but by this point it's too late. And crucially, MagiFelix and Shikari do nothing until they've already lost 2 members of the team. And I think that's the issue, is that Shikari made the decision to walk up, whereas Sendo made the decision to TP in. And I mean, XL just oversteps here. You have to respect Lissandra still has that ult. But the crucial thing there was, because Shikari walked up, he was still about 5-10 seconds away from being in the fight. Whereas on the other side, Renekton was there as soon as his TP was channeled.
Yeah, nice body block by Kasing at the end there. Savior, actually just all of the zoning that Kasing did in that fight was just so good.
Kasing showing why he is an LEC level player, because this game so far being the Kasing show, he found that engaged because Fnatic were trying to wait a bit longer. They didn't want the fight yet. They were waiting for the Kennen and the Lissandra to get in the flank. And Kasing just pulled the trigger and went in instantly and just denied them that opportunity. I think Fnatic disrespected a bit XL by going for that play, whereas they still have that scaling potential, but they really need to start putting the brakes on this game to get to that point.
Yeah, they just can't force fights like they have been doing previously. It's just not... We're not at a stage where Vayne's going to be relevant, and she really has been bullied out every single engage.
Absolutely.
XL have got the big mid-game composition, and we'll have a look at the build paths now. You see Sejuani, she's going Killing Gem, double amplifying tone.
Probably a Proto Belt to come out.
That's a big hit. Oh, good by MagiFelix into the turret, and XL are going to pick up this mid lane turret if they can push a bit further. Good
vision control from XL, and I think MagiFelix, you're so confident on this Lissandra when you have that Glacial Tomb, but they just didn't expect the other Freylord Queen to come flying over the wall and take you down.
XL can't quite get the mid lane turret. They might be able to get it on the next push though. Inax is very strong at this point in time, but this is a resounding defense from Fnatic. They're going to save the final few basic attacks, but that mid lane is on edge.
At the end of the day, they got all that turret plate and they got a lot of gold. They got the kill on the Magi Felix. XL got what they want, which is a significant lead from the early game. Now, as we're getting to that 15-minute point, we've got to see what they can do with this mid game. Vayne is still pretty useless. She doesn't even have that one-item spike. She wants 2 items before she can start to shred through people on XL. They're a long way away from that. And you look at the gold differential between the bot lane in particular, it's so massive right now. I mean, it's 2,000 between the 80 carries, another 2,000 between the supports. And yes, support goal difference isn't the biggest thing to talk home about, but it just shows how violently this bot lane difference has happened. And it makes me think that Fnatic disrespected Inax to an extent by letting this Lucian go open.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't. Maybe they thought that Xmati was perfectly capable of dealing with it, but I mean, they got baited in by that fantastic early play. And it's not the first time in the UKLC this week that we've seen a game almost decided based on one play. Inax is ready to go in here using the ultimate. Mati bounces back. Here comes Kasing on the back line. Doesn't have the flash to get the taunt onto Mati. Teleport's coming through. That is a massive overstep from Inax as he goes down. The shutdown there. A huge ultimate. A great collapse by Fnatic, and they're turning things around. 3 for nothing, and Taxa gonna get knocked up. Magi Felix looking for the kill, and I have no idea what XL have just done.
Yeah, and they went for an overzealous play. They felt confident. They saw Matty farming by himself, but they didn't realize he had a lot of friends. Fnatic instantly collapsed, double TP down, the Nocturne ult as well, and we talked about that massive early game lead XL have. They basically just threw it all away.
They've definitely lost a large margin on their gold advantage, now only just over 2,000 gold. I mean, XL had the game in their hands, but Inax, looking to make a solo play onto Mati, did not respect the position of the rest of the Fnatic roster, as well as how quickly a Nocturne can react. A Shikari who didn't use teleport in the last fight either. I mean, you felt like if you were really thinking about it, that play wasn't great.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what happens. Inax, he goes for the slow play because he thinks Maddie is completely alone. And it's now where all the reinforcements come in. Nocturne just locks him down and then the follow-up's there. And the problem is, the TP comes in from Exile and you can't cancel it anymore because I have no doubt he would have wanted to. Taxa gets caught out as well, and Fnatic, they clean up and get everything. And like we said, this is a comp without scales. And they just picked up a lot to contribute towards that scaling they're looking for.
One by one, they get knocked off the edge like bottles. And XL have got to work again, work from the bottom, find another way to win a team fight, because let's be fair, they are still in a good position. They are still in a mid-game composition. Vayne is only on 1 item, so it's not like
it's... They're still in a gold lead and the game's not gone yet.
Exactly.
But that is not what you wanted to see. We talked about them having that big lead before 15 minutes. To cut that in half in one play that you made is not how you want the game to go. So now they're going to have to take stock and think, right, how do we keep this game going in our direction? Because again, if they let this go late, Fnatic are going to win this one.
Siege still coming through. Dan waiting on the sidelines, has got that ultimate up again, and his ultimates have been, well, that one in particular was super impactful in turning things around for Fnatic. Shikari, I just can't say enough good words about this guy. Despite he was a little bit late to that team fight around Rift Herald, but he's 2-0-2. That was a massive impact ultimate that went through on that previous fight.
Absolutely, and this is the thing, is that Fnatic aren't at a burden to win this game. They just need to outlast XL and the game will win itself. It's XL who have to win this game fast, which is why they're going for these proactive plays, but there it completely backfired.
Again, a little bit aggressive in their pushing. XL split pushing as the Sejuani, and they're kind of testing Fnatic with the way that they're positioning here.
I mean, that's the thing, is that Fnatic are a very calculated team, and all they need to do is just not give up objectives, keep things controlled, and they will get to this late game. So XL, they need to start to make things happen. But just not like the last play they went for. So they're rotating down towards that boss side. This is a big thing, is that they've kind of established vision control in Fnatic's blue side jungle. They'll be able to pick up these camps and pressure this bot lane tower, but the problem is Baron's not up for 2 minutes, and even then I don't think they're going to take it super fast. They're kind of just sitting here unable to take any more objectives because these inner towers are a lot harder to break than the outer towers.
Yeah, and the way that you can see Fnatic rotate between the lanes, XL unable to punish the fact that double teleport was used too, because again, it's so easy to get between these inner towers for Fnatic. They don't really need to rely on teleports to give them the map presence. And in the meantime, Mati just happy to sit and farm top lane. He's still 40 CS behind, but he will just let those waves crash in and he'll take that free gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think the game's just going to completely sit on the head at 2 items, because yes, Mati's going to be strong, but Inax's 2-item spike is pretty mean as well. But it's the beginning of the end when he can finally start to just absolutely shred that front line of XL. And when it gets to the point where he has that core build, the Blaze Rune King and the Ginsus, and then on top of that, he has a defensive item, that's when things get really problematic because there's no real answer to the Vayne, especially when the Vayne is already taking cleanse. CC is not going to be an answer. If you have a defensive, then you're going to be able to mitigate a lot of damage, and your DPS will just be too much for XL to handle.
We need to look towards the Baron as the point of contention for XL. If they can get that and start to shove down these inner towers, they can look to snowball.
Yeah.
It would have been much easier if they hadn't given away half their gold lead, but...
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the back and forth is going to be. The Baron control should be really good because they have a lot of CC potential, and they have things like the Elise Cocoon, which can come out of Fog of War. They have the Glacial Prison. Is it? Yeah, the Glacial Prison from the... No, it's like...
Frozen Tomb, isn't it?
Frozen Tomb from the Sejuani, from the Lissandra. I'm talking the Sejuani.
Oh, it's Glacial Prison, I think.
Glacial Prison, yeah. So they have that, just if anyone comes up to check the vision. And I think, but the problem is, for me, is that XL don't want to start this Baron. Because if you start that Baron and Lissandra, Kennen come in and flank you, you lose the whole game.
Yeah, you lose the game at that point.
So they want to bait the Baron, they want to get people to move in on it, and they want to potentially kill someone like Dan. But for them to start it would be a very risky move. So that's why things are a bit tense here, and XL's control and patience needs to be excellent.
This is the thing, though, because you're in a situation where you need to make the move, but all Fnatic are doing is letting these minion waves crash in. If you start and commit to Baron, you're going up against a Kennen Lissandra who will relish the opportunity to dive into the pit with their ultimates, like you said. So this is a rough situation for XL. If Fnatic aren't willing to overstep, XL might find it difficult to force the mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And one advantage for XL is that Infernal Dragon is coming up. So I think Fnatic are making the right choice here. They're just not contesting it. They know it's not the objective you want to die for. It's not really going to put them in a favorable position. So they give it up. It equalizes on that Infernal, but that's a big thing. Because Fnatic got that one earlier, it ends up just being 1-1. Fnatic going to go back to playing slow, but Shikari, I think he might be overstepping over here, but I think he's realized they want Dragon, they could be here, so he backs off a bit. And, I mean, XL are going to continue to take all of these jungle camps away, but it's not exactly game-changing.
No, but it does deny Dan gold, you know,
Yeah.
so over time it will deny Dan gold. And
But at the rate it denies gold, it's by the time it's relevant, you know, by the time it's like a few thousand gold, it'll be at the point in the game where Fnatic just outscale.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
It's nice, but they need to do something more. So they're going to keep pushing up. They want to head towards that red side jungle, control the vision, and then they need to find a pick. And that's the opportunity for them to take out Fnatic and potentially get that Baron. But again, I think it's so risky for them to start the Baron. And that's why Fnatic can sort of take things a bit slow when they want to contest that vision.
again, Fnatic very happy to just wait this out. I mean, the gold lead is extended back to 4,000 gold, or thereabouts. It's about 3,500.
Yeah,
so it's all from the CS denial, and also I think Fnatic is sacrificing waves when they're rotating between the lanes.
Yeah, but there is one aspect of that 4,000 gold at 50 minutes is pretty big.
4,000 gold at 22 minutes is not so much.
Not as much,
Yeah.
you know. It's still significant. It's still very significant, but it's getting closer and closer to that point where the scaling's going to come in. We'll see XL just taking the recalls. They got the vision, but that's the issue, is that they get that vision control, they don't find anything, and it's back to farming. And it's difficult to see a point where I think, right, now XL should take the fight because they'll be stronger, because right now they're stronger. But they can't force Fnatic to fight them. And they can't be strong enough to take the Baron and then deal with the consequences. At least not until they have a tanky member to soak it up. And the thing is, especially with Sejuani going full AP, that Baron will do a lot of damage to anyone who tries to tank it.
Yeah, we're going to see Spear coming out from Renekton as his second item as well. So no one really taking that frontline tank role. So everyone is at least a little bit vulnerable to the Kennen and the Lissandra, more so than they would have been.
And that's the thing, being trapped in that pit, especially when everyone's short range, being trapped in that pit by a Kennen is like the worst position to be in, and that's why they're so tentative to start it up. But that means Fnatic is going to keep playing this waiting game again and again.
Well, you don't win the split push as XL here, so they are committing to this 1-3-1, but they don't actually win it. Like, this is more a way for them to think about how to push their vision in, push the top wave in, push into red side jungle, that kind of thing.
It keeps Fnatic sort of tied in that base, so they can't push up very far, but it's not going to take them any towers, not anytime soon. So essentially, they're just buying time for Fnatic, and Magic Felix is going in.
Oh, that's a misstep, a great pick up there by Fnatic. They're going to go on to Kasing now. It doesn't look like XL wants to commit to this. Kasing does dive out. XL has got the ability to use his ultimate right now, but he's not going to be able to find a good opportunity to do so as he backs off. The ultimate from Shikari is down. Sendo is now very low, going to pay for it with his life, and oh, XL. That's just the right situation for Fnatic.
They just overstepped, didn't even need to come down the Baron. They go too far forwards, and now Fnatic are tentatively going to turn onto that Baron. They don't have a lot of their big ults, but they have 5 members, and that's more than XL have.
Yeah, they're going for this right now. XL does have... Oh, he doesn't have his Glacial Prism available. He actually used it already.
Galio has his ult, so they'll wait for that before they go in.
Actually, people taking a lot of damage here. This might be a mistake from Fnatic. They're boxed into the pit. If XL can go in with the Galio ultimate, this might be game-changing. There's no big moves. Here comes the Galio ultimate coming in. Nax goes in. There's going to be a Baron take by Fnatic, but the rest of XL are looking to clear up Fnatic. But that's a really good result. 2 loss for a Baron. You take that every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, they already killed 2 members of XL before that play, so in terms of kills, they went even. They take the Baron off the map, and now you have to ask, what are XL going to do? I mean, they can push mid now. They might be able to get this. I'm not even sure if they get that tower in time.
I think they might get the tower, but they're definitely not going to get in the inner tower or the inhibitor.
I don't even think they get that. So it's like, what is...
Oof, maybe.
What's your game plan as XL now? Because waiting for the next Baron might be too long. You really just missed out massively. And it was just an overstep from the side of XL. And Fnatic have been so good on punishing these oversteps. We saw it in the bot lane when they were trying to go aggressive on Mighty. We saw it then again when Taxa and Kasing just stepped too far forwards. And now, yes, the gold is still in the favor of XL, but that Baron buff and that scaling advantage is Fnatic's, and that's why I'm really concerned right now to what the game plan is going to be from XL, because Fnatic have been very good in the fact that no one has stepped forward.
No.
No one has made a misstep when they shouldn't have, and I don't see a reason to think that they will now.
I want to just point out when we were looking at the gold charts there, previously Vayne was about 2,500 gold. The difference between Matty and NX was 2,500 gold. Now it is just 1,000. Vayne has got her Ginsu's Berserker's Grief finished and is also going towards a Null Magic Mantle to protect against some of that magic damage coming out from XL and Taxa.
Yeah.
This is the situation that Fnatic wanted to be in at the start of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is when Vayne is really strong. I still think they're going to hold out for a bit longer because they want that defensive item on the Vayne, but if they find a good teamfight opportunity, they can actually absolutely crush it here. And again, the longer this game goes on, the better position they're going to be in.
XL look like they want to force this mid lane turret. Dan is rotating round. There is a Shikari teleporting in for the flank on the backside. Yeah, I know exactly.
TPing.
Can they recognize this coming through? Magifelix is there as well. He's going onto Inax. Inax immediately flashes out. There goes Lissandra. No one is touching Inax, but right now the rest of Fnatic are diving in onto that fairly squishy XL roster.
Matty's free-hitting.
It's Inax versus the world, but Matty is cleaning up and XL can do nothing as they get wiped off the floor. This composition just has not done its job.
Yeah, absolutely. The flank comes in. Great coordination from Shikari and Magifelix at the same time they TP in, and there is very few things that are more devastating than a Ken and Lissandra flank, and we just saw exactly why. And crucially, the Vayne was there to clear up. XL get crushed.
It looked so good for XL at the start of the game. They looked like everything was flowing in their favor, but they left it too long. They made some mistakes around that bot lane, and suddenly Fnatic have regained complete control of the game. Matty at a 2-item spike, now working towards his 3rd. You feel like XL would need a miracle to get into this game.
Look at the gold. We have 2,100 on Matty right now, 3,300 on Lissandra, 1,800 on the Kennen. They're going to base and spend, and for the first time in the game, they are significantly far ahead of XL, 1,500, and with the scaling advantage as well, things are looking very bad for the XL side.
And you think about this in the context of the UKLC, XL need these points more than Fnatic do. Because they are the ones that are teetering on the edge of the playoff position right now. They're the ones that are being threatened by the likes of a really good 2 weeks from Enclave and a really good 2 weeks from Phelan. You know, if Phelan even win here versus M&M, it's going to look even worse. It's unlikely. I'm not going to paint this as like it's a likely story that XL lose their playoff position. But I'm saying that the XL are the lowest playoff position right now in terms of points.
And at bare minimum, they're going to be in a dicey situation where they might be the 4th seed, and that means in playoffs they go up against Fnatic. And as we've just seen now, I don't think that's a fun matchup to go through.
It's not, and Matty has picked up the QSS now as well.
Yeah, XL are looking for a bit of a cheese play here, the Death Brush against Fnatic. Will they fall for it? Might be a hard one to pull up. I think Fnatic just going to push it mid. They're not even checking that brush to the side. And that's the thing, is that there's so much less flank potential from the side of XL than there is from Fnatic.
I just don't see many ways that XL activate a win condition here. I think that time has passed. Exile looks to go on to Magi Felix, doesn't quite land the Glacial Prism there. Full
So
X-Smithy
close,
comes out.
but
Well,
just too far.
Yeah, not a full X-Smithy, but a partial X-Smithy.
Partial, full, doesn't matter at the end of the day. They don't get it. They don't get a kill. So now XL go back to the waiting game where the game is completely in Fnatic's control. And now they're going to push down this bottom tower. And all those turrets we saw up for XL earlier, now off the cards. And I've got to give credit to Magi Felix here, is that he is playing things very slow, uses the blue trinket to sort of scout out that bush, not going over aggressive, respecting the fact that right now the game is really Fnatic's to lose.
Yeah, Fnatic's are in complete control at this point, and XL, they had a really good 15 to 18 minutes in the first part of the game. They looked in control.
15 minutes. That was, because I remember saying at 14-40, they had a great early game. Let's see what they do with the mid game. And by 16 minutes, that was when they made that play on
they
Magi.
made that play.
So
yeah, they made that play on
first
Matty.
15 minutes, you were doing good, XL. Everything from then on, not so good.
I just think they got, I mean, I feel like it's like a classic Inax play. Like he just felt like he was strong enough to just blow Matty up before there was a response.
I think he just didn't respect what could happen on the map, because you saw from how he played, he went for the let's not let Matty escape sort of positioning, where he doesn't really care about this, how much damage he's going to do instantly. He just wanted to cut him off. But then he didn't factor in the Nocturnal on the double TP, and ends up going down as a result massively. And from then on, yes, XL didn't lose control of the game then, but it's just been disastrous. Fnatic keep taking and taking. The big standout for me has to be these Shikari and Magi Felix. 2 times we've seen them teleport together, and the execution's just been flawless every time.
The flanks from Shikari and Magi Felix have just been insane. I'd say that both, I mean, specifically Magi Felix as well, coming in, doing huge damage. These guys have single-handedly given Fnatic the best opportunity to teamfight. And XL they just don't have a response, really. Like, this is just an all-in composition from XL. Here we go again, Magi Felix with the big engage, missed the ultimate from the Sejuani, and on the backside of the fight there is Inax throwing out his ultimate, not doing much damage right now, and Matty is just running around, absolutely cleaning XL up. Nothing able to touch this Vayne, and Fnatic should be able to win the game from here, because Exile can do nothing, absolutely nothing, and the rest of Fnatic.
Yeah, triple kill comes out from X-Mite on that Vayne. It was a confident pick, and it has paid off, even with that rough laning phase. Exile's going to be the last of 4 here. And an ace from Fnatic means they should be able to push this one down and end. And we said it, the scaling was on the side of Fnatic. It got to that point where there was just no options. A great engage from Magi Felix might well put him into contention for MVP, but just solid performances from Fnatic. It just looked way too easy.
I think just based off that engage, you have to give the MVP over to Magi Felix. He's been excellent on this Lissandra the entire game. XL do not take the win with their kind of weird composition. Fnatic do the job. They put themselves into the final of the UKLC today, and that will close the book on the XL Fnatic game.
I understood the reasoning behind the composition. I understood why they went for it, but it just felt like the execution wasn't there.
Well, it was for like 15 minutes. That's what we said. Like
good 15 minutes.
Good 15 minutes. And I think they had the right idea, but that one play that then let them go into a stalemate around the first Baron, that was rough. XL, and there was 2 plays even. Taxa getting caught out as well around that middle turret, and that just gave everything over to Fnatic. XL drafted a really weird, very risky composition that had a gated timer on it.
Which I think is fine. It's fine to draft these gated comps, but we've seen time and time again, XL have a great early game. They've consistently had a great early game. Why are you drafting a composition that makes it easy for them? Yeah. The issue is not the early game, it's after that. So why not draft something that, okay, it might be a bit tricky early, but you get to that 15, 16 onwards minute point, and you're like, okay, we're strong now. Because they drafted something that, as soon as they lost those couple of fights where the one in bot lane and the one around mid, I was just like, well, that's it.
By the way, I accidentally chose the right winner based on Jake's...
I kind of feel like I got roped into that one.
Jake's the only one that made an autonomous decision to go for XL here. So he's,
Jake is
Jake's the loser.
He chose the wrong team.
By the way, the MVP is indeed Magi Felix. He will pick that to award up for his excellent Lissandra play, but both him and Shikari had huge impact in the way that these team fights went for Fnatic, and they will be taking on the winner of Phelan and Eminem later on today.
I mean, I think the thing you have to say about Magi Felix is everyone knows he's a solo queue monster. But the things you don't get from solo queue is coordination and a sort of understanding of how this can impact your team. And something we saw in the first week between XL and Fnatic was XL got back in the game by picking Magi Felix. We saw him go bot there, use a blue trinket, play it safe, and he very much showed a more calculated level of play, especially with the TP flanks. I think this is beginning to show that he's transitioning to the sort of player we expect him to be in competitive.
There's an evolution here. There's an evolution for Magic Felix, and you're seeing him grow as a player, trying to cover the weaknesses that he previously had. That solo queue mentality is draining, and you're starting to get the mechanics from solo queue mixed with that competitive sort of mindset. So that is a really, really good performance from him in general, and I think Fnatic are looking very strong heading towards the final of the UKLC to do. And remember, the final winners will then take on Diabolus at the top of the tower to see who will be our Tower Guardians for the week. So we're going to jump to a quick break, and when we're back, we will come through with M&M taking on Phelan to see who takes on Fnatic.
Don't go anywhere.
welcome back to the UK League of Turbo Inters. And after that first game, I'm joking.
Wow.
That was that was fun. It was a really fun game. I love it when we see something a little bit different.
I like that XL want to try something different. I just don't think it was the right thing. I don't want to be too critical, but I feel like the early game's always been great. We've seen consistently XL know how to play the early game. It's what happens after. You know, if you put on a show reel the first 15 minutes, XL the best team in the world.
Really? You just
maybe not the world.
You putting that out there?
Maybe the UK. Best team in the UK for the first 15 minutes.
Nice revision.
Yeah.
We're going to be moving on though because we have had our time with XL and Fnatic. Fnatic for now, we will see them later on in the next game. And their opponents will be the winner of this one here. M&M taking on Phelan Gaming. Now, Phelan obviously have been a struggling team. They haven't quite had the success of our top four. And M&M have been on a surge over the last few weeks. Tower champions out of nowhere, beating Fnatic, climbing very rapidly. And now they're on that ascension again.
Yeah, and they had that solid win against Enclave, which is a big deal because I feel like Barrage have been a bit hit or miss, so XL beating them wasn't too much an upset. Fnatic being Darkspawn was pretty expected, but I think M&M had the hardest matchup going into the round of 8, and they came out ahead, so that's pretty promising going forwards. But the thing I've got to say is that Phelan, they look like a different team. They look like a team now, instead of 5 players who are just happening to play on the same side. So I hope to see some good macro play again from them in the early levels, and that should hopefully get them further. And what I loved about them yesterday was that everyone picked confidence picks. I mean, you have Softly Sin, you have the Vel'Koz from ADM, the early pickup of the Lucian from Achu. It just felt like everyone was like, I'm going to play what I feel good on, and it worked. So
absolutely, and then
we don't fix it.
Hopefully going to be jumping into draft as soon as we physically can. But as it stands, I think most people give M&M the slight advantage in this matchup. I think most people say, well, just given the caliber of players that M&M have got, how well they've been playing recently, and Phelan are still the underdogs in this scenario.
I think it's, 70-30, 65-35 would be a fair one to call it. I think Phelan last week, I think you would have said it's a one-sided M&M game, but I think they showed they have some life. It's just, can they deliver again against a stronger team? And that's what we got to see.
Yeah, well, I think when we get into draft and once we move through this game, we'll start to see maybe Phelan unfold a little bit in terms of what they've got planned, because...
Do you have a feeling?
I'm living on a feeling, or living on a prayer, actually, that's the wrong song. I got a feeling.
I got a feeling
that this is going to be a good game. Let's get on with the draft.
Right.
I love your, it's almost like just below freak. You're not quite freak, but you're just below freak.
That's my aspiration, that's what I'm aiming for.
You just want to be freak?
Yeah, I want also my hair to go from the top of my head to the bottom. Sorry, freak, I love you. If he ever sees this, you probably won't.
Just in case you're watching, the UKLC freak.
Apologies.
He admires how your hair transitioned. It was like a migratory
it's like,
journey.
You know when people Photoshop it, they switch the hair? Anyway, let's move on with the draft.
That NA color caster position is definitely not going your way, is it, mate?
No, I'm kind of definitely shooting myself out of that one. But I'm happy here in the UK where we are seeing M&M come in with that Lee Sin being banned away from Soft, Zoe taken from ADM, and then we see again the Relia from Chibs.
Yes, a respect ban versus Chibs, and I like that. I mean, Chibs is I think the newest, the greenest rookie that we have in the entire UKLC in terms of his competitive experience, and people are giving him the respect that he deserves. Aragon gets a ban of his Yorick, although we usually see a Yorick ban somewhere in the mix, but it is something that Aragon has piloted incredibly well, so that's going to be a ban for M&M coming out here.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see the Galio come out from Phelan. There's still like the Jarvan potentially available. There's still the Lucian, which you've seen a very high priority on throughout. So if Monk wants to get his hands on that, which it seems like he does, then that's a big one to take up. And we've seen a lot of lane promise come out from Monk and Shogun at times, and it has been our lane to watch on M&M. Although other members have carried, I think getting them a strong pick on a Monk might lead to that whole Monk will carry thing.
Yeah, well, you can see the ban rate pretty high at 81%.
Was fast.
That was a fast lock-in for Achu and Snuggly, and again, they are going up against Monk and Shogun, who have been some of the best bot lanes and best performing bot laners that we've had in our competition. So, talk to me about this particular sort of direct matchup. What the hell's Kalista? I keep wanting to say Kaisar in my brain. Kalista.
It's one of the things where if you dash in on a Kalista Braum, you just get locked up. You can't ever do it as Lucian because as soon as you go forwards, they jump on you. You get the spears stacking up, you get the passive stacking up. The Braum is also a good denial from Lucian Braum lane, but it just shows a lot of confidence because there is a sort of issue that if you fall behind in the curve on Kalista, she gets very difficult to play, especially when you look at the lockdown coming out from M&M with Alessandra. but you can tell these teams aren't leaving Lucian open by accident. They have a plan for it, and we saw the plan last game from Fnatic, where they had the great flankers, and now we're seeing the Kalista Braum come out, the Phelan deal with it, and then the Lissandra picked up most likely for Chibs, but the issue with the Lissandra is that it's pretty short-ranged, and you're now dealing with a Vel'Koz, which is something we know ADM loves, but it's like if you get on top of the Vel'Koz and lock him up, sure, that's great, but it's such a long distance to close from where he can just bully you.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw yesterday how well ADM...
100% win rate.
Yeah, well, there you go. The only time I think it's been played has been by ADM when he picks up that win. So
yeah.
it is a pick that we saw him pilot incredibly well yesterday. And he finally got his own to his game. He got that eye on his ultimate. He had hugely impactful ultimates towards the mid to late game. So I'm looking to see that kind of performance from him again. And now we enter that second phase with the Jarvan getting banned out. So that ability to flex the Jarvan as your final pick to give a bit of surprise, I guess. I mean, Phelan still have that element of surprise that they can bring through. Because if that Jarvan did come through, then it could still go to Soft or Aragon on that final pick. And they had a bit more flexibility in their draft.
Absolutely, and the advantage going into the next draft phase, because these teams have picked essentially the same lanes against each other, and they're very cemented. You're not going to put an Alistar top, not on this meta. It gives you advantage over the Phelan because they get that first pick priority after these rotational bans, and then not only that, they get the potential counter pick. So I think coming out of this, Phelan should be in a good position to pick what they want, which is why M&M have to be careful. They're worried about that Jarvan because it's always going to work as a flex.
Yes.
They then take off the Rek'Sai, so sort of targeting what Soft can pick to have that early pressure. But now, if I was Phelan, I would lean towards sort of a stable jungle pick, and then you go for a counter pick for Aragon. But, I mean, you could go for anything here.
Name stable because we've had a lot of bans, and a lot of them targeted at Nulty specifically, and then the Elise comes through, which is a pick that Nulty is known for in terms of his play.
If you work it out, Elise has a 100% win rate when Nulty doesn't play it.
Actually, I think we just saw a loss go over to Taxa as well on Elise, so...
I'm wrong.
It's okay, mate. We're all wrong sometimes.
Yeah, well, you know, I saw the stats. I made a guess. It was wrong.
Is this the return of the Nulty Nidalee? That's the question I've got for you. The Nulty Nidalee about to hit its way back onto Summoner's Rift.
Maybe. Maybe not. I'm trying to think what you would potentially play. You could take the Gragas here. Would be a decent pickup, although it's not too great in the Braum. But if you get that engaged on the Vel'Koz, you can knock him back into your team, and it makes it so hard for the Vel'Koz to ever ult, because you throw that barrel and it just cancels it.
Looks like M&M slightly... I mean, we're not going to talk about it just yet, but I didn't think the Vi was definitely going to get locked in. So it is going to be that Gragas. It is, again,
it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's a really good way of isolating and then locking down the Vel'Koz, which is really that problem child of the composition that you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And now Phelan have got an option to go for their top lane pick into the Aatrox, which we know Mummus has got a great Aatrox.
The ultimate counter to Aatrox is Fiora, but Aragon's not going to take that, and he's going to take the Poppy, which... It's not a bad matchup, it's just you're not going to crush it. Something you see in Korea often is Fiora picked into the Aatrox as a sort of, I'm going to beat you and split push and just dominate you, but Aragon going for the more, I'm going to play for my team pick. It is going to help against that engage, particularly the Gragas trying to body slam in or the Alistar. The issue is only going to be, Aragon has to be there to provide that.
So what do you make now of these compositions? Now, we look down the left-hand side, we have the M&M composition, the Aatrox, the Gragas, the Lissandra with the Lucian and can't remember the support, the Alistar. So what are you talking about win conditions for this team?
I think M&M picked up a pretty solid all-around comp that's good for team fighting. It's got pretty good side lanes because you can put the Lissandra in a side lane with TP or the Aatrox in the late game. I think they want to play to a sort of mid-game spike, get a lead early, and then just crush the backline. It's very much Phelan will want to protect their backline, their Vel'Koz and their Kalista, and sort of kite back because you eat so much damage when you try and get on top of Kalista or a Vel'Koz, whereas you want to see M&M making those flanks. You want to see an Aatrox being on top of the Vel'Koz or Lissandra getting like a 5-man route at the backline. That is the dream for M&M.
And then we turn the tables to Phelan. Where are we looking for their win conditions?
The early pressure from that Elise is going to be a huge thing, and then you can put a lot of power in the bot lane, like the Braum and the Kalista is very strong 2v2. And then just snowballing that lead and just never letting your carries get touched. Because, like I said, if you try and run at a Vel'Koz and he puts down all of his abilities, you take so much damage. And especially in the late game, that Vel'Koz is just going to absolutely shred. I don't think they have a clear advantage in the late game. It's more if they protect their carries at the late stages, they win.
And how do you think, what's the best way for them to do the protecting? Because they have the Elise in the jungle, which isn't really known to be the ultimate peeling jungle that you could have had.
It's about having them together as a 5v5. Yeah. Because if you have them as a 5-man, You have the Poppy with you can stop engages, you have the Braum as well. Very easy to protect. The issue is, M&M have a tool at their disposal, which is that they'll have the TP on the Lissandra and the Aatrox, so if they want to split push, they can.
Yeah, I mean, there is no split pushing apart from maybe the Poppy, but in the Feline composition, you can't have Vel'Koz in a side lane. He's too vulnerable. So we're jumping into game. M&M taking on Feline. Here we go as we round things into our second semi-final of the UKLC. We've already talked about what Orcs thinks these win conditions are. Let's see which team is better at activating them.
Yeah, so a big one's just to be watching what the junglers do early. Because, like I said, I think in terms of scaling, it's not so much this... like we saw last game, Fnatic were like, after this point, it becomes very hard for XL. It's not so much that case for this game. It's more they have different win conditions, and it's which one hits the mark without falling too far behind.
I actually think I'm completely in accordance with that, because I can't really name, apart from the Vel'Koz, can't really name a carry on either side that's going to be like, damn, he's going to be solid in the late game, you know?
Yeah.
And Vel'Koz is really the only one that stands out as a huge damage dealer as the game scales.
And even then, if you get on top of Vel'Koz, he's pretty useless.
Yeah, I mean, his ultimate renders him completely immobile, so...
Kalista can pump out a lot of damage late, but again, if you get on top of her...
Well, she takes time to stack that damage up. It's not like a Vayne who just needs to hit 3 auto attacks and boom, there you go. Although Kalista does scale well in terms of the overall damage she can output, it takes time to render those stacks
so
up.
it all comes down to if you make a botched engage and the Vel'Koz and the Kalista are free hitting, they will win those team fights. And so that's why you want to see a team get a big gold advantage, because you don't have to be as strict on your win conditions if you get ahead, but the early pressure coming out from Nolte, he's going for a flank here, and double knock-up.
Shogun knocks in huge damage onto a Chu. First blood right there, going over to Monk.
Yeah, just a good play. They don't respect the level 2 gank from Nolte, and we said you want to watch these junglers in the early levels, and they already find the traction. Nolte starting things off strong. Better than his Elise play, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't even look like Soft has got a good way to punish this, because the best way to punish a level 2 gank is go and take some jungle from the enemy. But because Elise is now taking most of her side jungle, she probably isn't going to get over to that blue side jungle of Nolte before he can get there himself.
And it just shows huge confidence from Shogun and being that flash level 1. It was clearly talked about before the game. They planned this, and it means this bot lane matchup that we said, Braum, Kalista are very, very strong level 1. I mean, especially against Alistair, who I always say isn't really a champion level 1. You're playing up against a Kalista and a Braum whose level 1 is so strong, but they couldn't take advantage of it because they got flashed on by the Alistair. And that is the one case where an Alistair's useful level 1, is if you flash pulverizes, and there it came out perfectly, and it got Monk and Shogun past that tricky point in the lane, and now they're going to be an advantage because that heal's down for a Chu, he's down in CS, down in XP.
I think that was just massively disrespectful from a Chu and Snuggly. I think you didn't respect the Alistair in the brush, you didn't expect the fact that Nolte could come to the bottom side of the map. I think, unfortunately, that was just a situation where you made a mistake.
They just got caught off guard, they didn't expect it, because if you were playing that game as an isolated 2v2, they were playing it how you should. But the thing is, it's not an isolated 2v2, and you have to expect these level 2 ganks. They've become so much more common, not recently, but on this season. And I think you always have to be aware from it, because in a situation like this, in a best of 1, it could cost you the game. I don't think the game is over yet by any means, but it's definitely not a good start.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have much time to recover. You know, when you're playing in these best of 1s, you've got to do it in-game rather than between games, and that is something that will always plague players just a little bit. Looks like Soft is going towards the top side of the map to put some pressure onto Mumus here on his Aatrox, as Aragon standing up pretty well on this Poppy so far. Soft hasn't had the opportunity to punish Nolte in the jungle. He did get a ward down onto that blue side, but didn't have the opportunity to take that blue buff. So realistically, that was a free level 2 gank, which you just don't see happen too much. I mean, usually there is a way to punish a level 2 gank by the enemy jungler, but Soft has not found that opportunity.
This is not a fun lane matchup for Chibs. Just the range difference, the Vel'Koz can permanently poke you, and with Lissandra, you're pretty much limited to trying to shove the wave, whereas the Vel'Koz can both poke you and shove the wave at the same time. So he's in such a great position here, but Chibs didn't pick this for the laning matchup, he picked it for the team fight.
And so far, none of the laning matchups that you thought would sort of accelerate out of control have done so far, and the Lucian actually puts himself 10 CS ahead of a Chu in this bottom lane, so there's already a pretty significant CS advantage opening up.
Will be a big wave from the cat, so shouldn't be too dire, but still not the greatest position to be in, especially when you look at that dragon. It's an Infernal. Both teams are going to put a lot of priority on that, but you have to imagine that M&M with the strength in the spot lane already are going to come out more favorably.
And you've got to always respect that engage from Monk and Shogun as well. Now, Alistair's flash will be up cooldown in a few minutes' time. And he'll be able to find another opportunity, maybe with Nolty, to just engage back onto Snuggly and Achu. Gonna get the vision around this dragon sorted out, and it doesn't look like there is a great opportunity for response right now from Phelan. Don't think he'll go directly for the dragon. I don't think it's safe enough right now for Nolty.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too early to risk that. For now, they are looking like they might make a play bot though. They have 4 members, but Elise and Vel'Koz are moving to react. This might be more for skirmish in the jungle than a dive bot lane.
I think they're just backing off.
Yeah.
They see Elise on the blue side of the map. They realize that there was an immediate response for Phelan, and they know that it's just not a good opportunity for them. They're not going to get the surprise factor of that Lissandra flank, which we know has worked out so well for teams across the UKLC.
Yeah, but that's the power of that vision control. Means they are able to make that decision. And although they do give some space over the soft, they still have some deep vision set up. I say deep. It's not super deep. There's that ward Shogun put, but it's deep for the early levels.
Going to try and get some vision up onto Nolty here.
Oh, he actually dodged away from the scrying.
He did. Cheeky little dodge from Nolty.
So they shouldn't be completely aware of his position right now. His red buff is coming up soon, so I get the vibe that Soft is looking to contest this, but never mind, he's backing off. I think just establishing vision control. As an Elise, he's hit level 5 and he hasn't really done anything, so he's not quite hit. My sort of win condition for an Elise is always make something happen pre-level 6. There's still time. And with him having bot lane, I think he's looking to make something happen.
Nolty will have red buff. I'm wondering whether that hits him level 6 as well, because that'll be a good power spike for Nolty coming into a counter gank scenario versus Soft, who's moving up in this lane. They're trying to put some pressure onto Monk. I think it's going to be so difficult to do this versus an Alistair so close to the tower as well. But Alistair is not yet level 6, so oh, he misses. Soft misses the cocoon, and that is the worst feeling in the world for an Elise.
Fancy feet from Monk. Didn't even really need a dodge, it was just a miss from Soft. I feel like sometimes it's so hard to hit someone when you're out of vision because you don't know how they'll move. When someone's dodging, you expect how they're going to move, but when they're not, you have to kind of guess. They will use that sort of pressure advantage to head over to that Infernal Dragon, but Nolty's coming pretty fast. I don't think he's going to give this one up for free. No,
Chips is teleported in. Here comes Nolty. He's on the bounce side of the pit. Lissandra can look for a flank in this situation if she so chooses, but M&M, they're going to just back off. Not even going to try and contest this. Don't want to risk the 50-50 on the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, big thing is that Callista had a lot of stacks in it. It's never going to be a true 50-50 with the Callista having setup on the objective. So it was a great decision from M&M just to reset it, stop those stacks from going up, because if they try to go for the 50-50, it's more like a 30-70.
33, yeah, 33-66, something like, because you've got 2 smites that you have to contend with the Callista having that sort of faux smite on her side of things.
Yeah, so good decision just to reset that. And the thing is, a lot of pressure lost because they devoted so much time heading over that, and that's just further accelerated the goal difference between Monk and Achu. About, well, just under, it's closing now, but it was about 15 CS down now.
Yeah, it was almost a 1,000. It's about an 800, 600 gold lead or so between that, fluctuating with Monk and Achu, but they're going for the Infernal once more.
This is a very, very risky decision because Nolty is coming down fast and Monk is coming from base with a lot of items. They absolutely win this 4v4. They might get the dragon, but they'll lose the fight.
Oh, Chips goes straight in. That is huge for M&M. They're even going to get the dragon off the back of it as well, unless his ADM can go for a big ultimate. Doesn't look like he can. And Shogun and the rest of the team find that engage. They pick up the Inferno, and that is disaster for Phelan.
You know, I was talking about how Monk is really strong with a lot of items there. He wasn't even in that fight. They didn't need him. The TP, I believe, was actually cancelled by Mummet. It got cancelled by Aragon.
Yeah.
So they didn't even need the extra 2 members from their team. 3 was enough, and that's the power. When they get on top of your backline, it is so strong. This sort of Lissandra, Gragas, Alistair combo. And feeling they give over the dragon, but a handful of kills too, and it's not a good start for them.
No, and especially when you don't want to give too much of a mid-game advantage over to this composition from M&M, you're doing exactly that. And every lane is really, I mean, apart from the mid lane, which has kind of been, you'd expect to go in favor of ADM because of the range mismatch between a Vel'Koz and a Lissandra, every other lane has kind of been struggling for Phelan. I think you're just seeing the individual prowess coming out from M&M themselves, and Nolty has been way more active than Soft in terms of impacting the map as well.
Yeah, it looks like Soft is learning from Nolty's Elise textbook, playing the sort of questionable early levels.
What is the Elise textbook?
No, the Nulty Elise textbook, which is
Oh,
the
you
int
mean
early.
just don't? You mean just playing Elise bad? Is that what?
Inting on Elise early.
Oof.
And it's not done awful, it's just the fact that they're falling behind a lot of pressure. And looks like they might try and contest this Rift Tile, but there's only 2 members here, so this could be a bit risky.
Yeah, Mammoth doesn't have teleport. It doesn't look like the bot lane from Phelan are in position right now, though. As Shogun was just channeling the Hex Flash. I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to contest this. They're just going to give it over to Nulty, and that is another objective now picked up by M&M as they look to accelerate this mid game.
Yeah, in a good position. They picked up the Rift Tile. It's just going to help snowball things further and further. And yes, we said Phelan still have that sort of win condition where if they defend their backline, they'll win. That's going to get harder and harder when the goal difference becomes bigger. And it's not a situation like Fnatic where they can just wait until 30 minutes and they auto-win the game. It's not quite that simple for Phelan. They are looking for a play here top. Soft going to try and land that Cocoon again.
Oh, that is the ultimate coming out from Kalista. Back onto Mug. A nice backwards ultimate coming out from Snuggly, but the ultimate is there for Shogun. A huge pulverize as Snuggly takes damage. A Chu taking damage too. Shogun picks up the kill. A second one by Nulty, and he is not done yet. ADM
Chibs
now
is
very
coming.
low. Chibs is coming in. The flash over. Slams in with the Frozen Tomb. Can they get the kill? A Chu trying to bounce over, cannot do so, and Nulty body slams his way to another kill.
And Phelan go for an overzealous play there. Monk still had his flash. They get the knockup, but it's too late. He's on a tower, and a great turnaround from Shogun means they lose so many members on that play. Nulty has the Herald. He doesn't even need to use it, and they'll probably get this turret.
This looks dire for Phelan in this situation. We're now at a 4,000 gold lead at just 11 minutes. It feels like we are much later into the game by the way the rotations have come out, but this is catastrophic, you feel, for Phelan, and I just think that M&M now are looking to take the game by the horns, and that's not an Alistair pun intended. Just feel like they're in massive control now.
Absolutely. They're so far ahead already. They still have that Herald. There's an Infernal Dragon coming up, so what they're going to do is they're going to swap the pressure over to the bot side. They have that Rift Herald, which can potentially buy them space, and they're just going to get complete control over this Dragon area. The play I like to see teams do is they get vision control, and then they throw the Rift Herald down as a Dragon spawning, and Phelan have to react to that, which means they can just take the Dragon for free. It's a second Infernal. You get both of those, and it really puts things into a difficult position for Phelan, because that sort of late game protect your carry potential is just out the window if they're doing so much damage on the back of all that extra AD and AP.
And just like you said earlier, there is no 30-minute 3-item vein win condition for Phelan here. They really have to activate at a similar time to M&M. They really are trying to keep them on even keels because the Kalista mid-game spike, much like the Lucian. You have the Poppy and the Elise who are not going to scale like a ridiculous amount in terms of damage into the late game. And really, you only are relying on ADM to bring your late game powerhouse damage, and he is so easily flanked by a lot of the M&M members.
Yeah, the thing is, a fed Vel'Koz can just decimate a whole team with a Zolt. But a Vel'Koz who's behind will just tickle you.
Chibs tries to go in here with Nulty, so doesn't quite find it as ADM is very good at disengaging.
They might look to throw down the Rift Towel soon. It's still 30 seconds. I think they'll wait for the next wave, throw the Rift Towel down. It has to be reacted to by Phelan, and then you can just make the play for the Dragon. Monk and Shogun are pushing top, but they're heading down. They should be here in time. But it looks like Phelan are using this opportunity to get some control themselves. It might be a bit of a mismove from M&M to keep their bot lane top for so long. But at the end of the day, they're so strong right now, I don't think it's going to mean Phelan can take this Dragon.
Yeah, I just feel like Phelan trying to go for this fight right now is a bit of a misnomer. They do release the Rift Herald right at this point, so it's going to push onto the second tier turret if Lucian can respond. I do think M&M have just given this up, though. It looks like they've just given up the Infernal Drake. They reacted a little bit late to this situation. They're going on to Shogun. Shogun jumps in, doesn't quite get the pulverize because he gets knocked back and stunned at the same time. ADM channeling a huge ultimate. Doesn't... Oh, Chibs! Not what you wanted to do, my dude. And actually, Phelan, they get away scot-free.
Yeah, that's a massive win. They do lose a lot of pressure in the mid because of that Rift Tile, but the fact they got the Dragon, it was just a complete mistake from M&M. They kept their bot lane top for way too long. They gave up the pressure, and in a situation where they were completely in control, they lost an Infernal Dragon, which is not what should have happened.
The Cat Lol, who I believe... Who's the Cat
Support
Lol?
for Bulldogs.
Support for Bulldogs, yeah.
He's another bearded man.
Another bearded man.
And he believes Snuggly's beard to carry them, but we have to keep hoping because they are looking in a bit of a dire situation now. But still, they managed to get that Infernal Dragon essentially for free, and that was purely off M&M misallocating their lanes. There was no reason for Monk and Shogun to be top lane, other than, I guess, greed, because either Mummus or Monk wanted to pick up some extra farm and didn't want to swap yet.
I just think the timings of the way they tried to play around that Infernal Dragon were a little bit slow. They released Rift Herald. For some reason, Monk felt he needed to stay mid with the Rift Herald to take the mid lane tower, which
It wasn't. It was the fact he was walking down from top lane.
Yeah, but he was even then attacking mid lane tower when the Infernal Dragon was going on.
I think the big thing was, because he was top, Phelan managed to get control of the Dragon area, and they just couldn't walk in blind. And I think if they had been there, if Monk had been there a minute earlier, they could have just got complete control of the area, got the Dragon for free, put the Rift Herald down at the same time, but instead they got a bit overconfident. That might be their downfall, because Phelan, as you said, if they protect their carries, they can do well in a team fight. They just need to find the opportunities.
It was an attempted death brush bait there for Phelan on the top side of the map, and you can see Soft even going to get spied out by Monk, and they know there's a lot of pressure now on this top side. What can M&M do to respond? They're going for this turret. It's very, very low. Like a single push with a minion wave might do the trick here for M&M.
Yeah, Nulty is in the area. I think they might just have to back off for this next wave and give it up. Item differential between AD carries is pretty big.
That's, yeah, pretty huge right now. Kalista still working towards that initial Blade of the Ruined King, and you can see Monk already picking up a pickaxe. Wondering where he's going to go with that as the next item.
Most likely going for the Essence Reaver.
Yeah, I imagine Essence Reaver would be the point of call here for Monk.
Yeah, it's been the transition is that the options are still that Black Cleaver or the Essence Reaver. They both give that nice 20% CDR for Lucian. The Essence Reaver, I think, scales a bit better, but the Black Cleaver better in the mid game because it gives you that bulkiness and also pretty effective against tanks. And also makes your culling hit so much.
Your culling does hurt.
Black Cleaver culling is just disgusting.
So now red side vision control being established by M&M. They are pushing through a lot of those towers. They're accelerating that gold lead. 7,000, and we're at 17 minutes in.
I mean, this is big, but I'm always going to say but. Phelan still have that route where if M&M take a botched engage, they don't manage to get on top of ADM and a Chew, and they get a good team fight on 2 items, there is hope. It's not a great hope, but it's something.
Yeah, not quite Jedi hope, but just a little bit of hope, you know, like somewhere down the bottom of the barrel.
Like a Jawa or something.
It's like relying on Jar Jar Binks to take out Darth Vader instead of Luke. He probably could do it, but...
It would, I'm not sure what sort of movie that would make, though.
Well, actually, do you know what? There's a really, really interesting theory about Jar Jar Binks.
The Sith Lord Jar Jar.
The Sith Lord Jar Jar Binks theory.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of my favorite theories that I've ever read about Star Wars.
I think it's pretty good. I just feel, if it is true, I feel really disappointed that he bottled it and just decided not to go through with it. Because all the bad criticism that Jar Jar Binks got after the first film, he was like, nah, scrap this, we're not having that, they'll hate that. But if he just committed, people would have, at least some people would have like...
Just, you know, instead of Emperor Palpatine, or whatever it was, instead of, you know, with the hood, you just turn around and it's like Jar Jar Binks in the hood when he reveals it. He's just like...
I'd have loved that.
Miso lightning. Oh, God. Let's concentrate back on the game. Not much has happened. You haven't missed much, guys. Don't worry about it. M&M just setting up around the Baron, which spawns in 1 minute and 20 seconds. And they should be able to take that with relative ease. They are a significant portion ahead in this game.
Yeah, still got to be a little bit careful. But the thing is, I don't see a way Phelan easily get to that Baron pit to contest.
See, this is an in-axe move, but it actually works out as a Chew. Well,
sure
almost works out because Monk's going in. Oh! He gets the kill. Monk, absolutely huge. Can't get the triple, but the rest of the team is here to follow him up. Now, Snuggly's going to go down, and followed by Soph. A great response from M&M, and that was a big play from Monk.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed over-aggressive, but in return, Phelan kind of dropped the ball there. They didn't land the CC on the Monk, and as a result, when M&M comes swinging, they take out everyone involved in that play from Phelan.
And they get the turret off the back of it too, keeping that gold lead nicely around that 9,000 mark. Going to clear out vision, you'd expect, from this red side jungle. Or at least you'd hope so. They are just ignoring all of the vision control that Phelan have there. Had a good opportunity to clear out some control wards, didn't clear out one. I'm going to rate you 0 out of 10 for that, M&M.
Oh, well. Unlucky. Better luck next time. But I think the crucial thing is that they didn't land the cocoon, and then the Kalista ult didn't connect on a Monk. I think he might have flashed it, but it just meant he had enough time to pin down a Chew. And a Chew, he took so much damage at the start of that, and he held his flash. There was definitely a potential where you use your flash to take less damage. Maybe even flash aggressively so you're not sitting in the full brunt of the culling. I just feel like a Chew kind of dropped the ball, Snuggly kind of dropped the ball, and Soft kind of dropped the ball, and they ended up paying for it.
They're going to collapse now into Aragon, who has actually been kind of a bastion of shining light for Phelan, because he has been untouched this game. Although I say that, he doesn't quite manage to escape here. His flash is down, and Monk is going to finish the job as Aragon takes his first death of the game.
Yeah, Aragon disappointed with that happening to him. Was 0-0-0 untouched, but now falling prey to the M&M machine.
I'm going to pick up this Ocean Drake with relative ease, and again, you're looking at Phelan and saying, I just don't see a route back in easily for them right now. 10,000 gold is something that's almost considered insurmountable.
I mean, the thing is as well is that when we talked about Fnatic's composition, how great that is for contesting a Baron as a flank, I look at Phelan and I'm like, what do you really do?
Apart from Vel'Koz's ultimate,
Vel'Koz's over the wall's okay, but that's it. You have no one who wants to run in on the flank and just disrupt. Poppy's maybe the only one, but he didn't have enough damage or lockdown to do much. And I think if M&M ever started a Baron, I don't think there's much threat for them getting turned off. And the thing is, the crucial thing is if M&M decide to back off from the Baron and run away, I don't think there's anything to stop that from happening.
Or if they just want to turn and counter-engage with the Lissandra. You know, you can do that so easily, and it's a really good way to punish an overextension.
But I mean, that's the problem, is that if Vel'Koz's ult's over the wall, you just walk away.
You know, also, you know where he is. Chips could just jump over.
You just throw a Gragas barrel. You have so many options, and I feel you're pretty limited in what Phelan could do as a response to M&M. That's why I feel once M&M control this Baron area, it'll be very hard to stop them from starting up, potentially taking it, which is why I feel making the early move to get here, they're potentially going to look for a pick on this Baron side of the map. So Nolty's actually behind them, but hasn't seen them yet, so everyone be very quiet. But ADM is getting jumped on.
Oh, he's actually not getting too much damage right now. Doesn't manage to back out here. Nolty now by himself. That is the pick they were looking for. Nolty immediately uses the stopwatch. The rest of M&M are moving in. A great barrier ultimate coming out from the Brawn, but is it enough right now? It looks like at the moment we're at 1-for-1. Jumping in onto ADM is Monk as he flashes away, tries to buy some more time. Aragon just doing nothing on the sidelines, getting punched back by Monk, and the rest of Phelan have no damage whatsoever. And it looked so good at the start, but M&M still come out on top.
That is the sort of fight where if there isn't a 10k goal difference, it might have gone okay. But when there is, it's just the damage isn't there. Monk is too strong. He can go into ADM's face and just bully him away from the fight. It was a good attempt, and they do manage to kill Nolty, so by all means a success when you're this far behind. But still, things aren't looking good for Phelan.
Nolty's had a great game this game, 4-1 and 2, had huge impact across the map. I think everybody from M&M have been firing on all cylinders too.
Apart from, and not to say Mummus has been playing bad, he just hasn't really done anything.
I mean, he's been in a sideline matchup versus the Poppy where he's just been farming. And that's fine. He's 226 farm. He's the most farmed on his team. He's really powerful. He's got Death Dance. Yeah,
he's done his job. It's been a pretty boring job. That's all I'll say.
I don't know. I've always liked those matchups. I feel like there's nothing to blame me for. I can just sit there and farm.
See, I'm the opposite because I'm a support player, so to me, farming's a bit dull.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm always like, I want to be in Shogun's position, like, let's fight, let's go. Boom, 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 engage.
And speaking of Shogun, he's got a 10 out of 12 kill participation here. So he's got a big kill participation across the map. In fact, I'd actually almost argue that Shogun has been the MVP of this match just purely for some of the engages that he has found for his team.
The MVP so far.
So far, that's true. We are still in the game right now.
Still potential for him to miss a couple of combos and Phelan to come back into this. Crucially, as I've said before, as I'll say again, if ADM gets a big bit more items, I think that's a crucial thing.
He's the closest in gold to his counterpart right now.
Yeah.
He is only just 1,000 gold behind his sort of opposing mid laner.
The issue is, I feel like until you have the Hurricane on a Chew, or at least a second like a Ginsu's or something, I just feel like the Callista's not going to pump out enough damage to really... Because the ult from ADM does a lot, but it's not going to kill anyone.
No.
Unless they just get caught in the middle for 5 seconds.
They're supposed to bring it low enough so that the Rens can do the work, right?
Absolutely, but a Chew just can't really do much on just the one-item spike. So, if he gets that Ginsu's, that's when I might be a bit more confident that they can sort of win a team fight, but M&M taking control of that Baron area, and it's so difficult to contest.
That was a nice little disengage there from Soft. Got to respect the mechanics went into that. A Chew now oversteps just ever so slightly. Chib's trying to go in, does get in, gets onto a Chew. He goes down immediately, and now Mummus is following up onto Aragon, who manages to dive away. But M&M don't look like they're done yet. They're going back in. The ultimate charging up from Aragon, looking to knock away, and they only get the cow. And now Phelan are turning things around. That's a big ultimate. ADM gets the initial. Ooh.
Yeah, I think I could instantly tell from the way that Chibs, we'll see that play again. We'll have a look at that before we talk about the pause. So Achu takes so much damage here, and then Snuggly goes in. The initial knockup's there, but then the flash is actually super early, and Snuggly just, he uses his ult too soon. Monk ends up killing Achu, but to be honest, I don't think it would have mattered. I think they all would have died anyway.
It's never a good a moment when you have a pause in the middle of a team fight.
Well, I think what happened there, because I could see from Chibs' movement, is Monk was backing away, and it looked like Chibs just wasn't.
Yeah, maybe disconnected.
Before he died, I got a sense that he disconnected. And then when he died, I was like, okay, definitely, there's going to be a pause in a second here. It's a bit unlucky from the side of M&M, but I don't think it's going to cost him too much. They're still pretty much in control of this game.
Unless the pause overlap win condition comes in. I don't know what it is, but there is a certain amount of time you're allowed to pause the game for.
Yeah.
Can you choose? I don't know what the rule set says if you're allowed to choose to play 4v5.
Well, I'm not exactly sure on the rule set, but surely you could just keep the game going and be like, yeah, he's here. He's just sitting on the base, having fun. Having a good time.
Yeah. He's just AFK. He's got his mum called him for dinner.
It's a new strategy. No, but,
do you remember the Carthus base strategy?
I think the big question for me, yeah. Do you remember that bug with Xerath, where Xerath could sit in his base and his Q would hit everything on the map?
I hear game sounds right now.
Yeah, I don't know, it's really weird.
I'm hoping that means that we're getting. Oh, we're not. We're not. I've been told. I got a very firm. Nope, not there.
There was this. It was more. It wasn't a bug. It was more of an exploit. It was a hack where Xerath could hit everyone on the map with his Q. Just everything on the map would get hit. And so the
well,
Xerath,
just like you just charged it and it hit everything.
Everything. There was just. I'm not exactly sure how to do the exploit because I obviously never did it myself because I'm an honorable summoner.
Honorable.
But these exploiters, these evil people, they would just sit there and their Q would hit everything. So they'd get all the farm. They'd kill, and then I saw someone showing it from the other view, and obviously you get super fed, and they would just, he was playing Kled, so he didn't die, because he was on the fountain. His mount would just die every time. But everyone on his team, as soon as they spawn, would just die. And like everyone on his team had like 20 deaths each. The Xerath was on 100 kills, and they were just like, well, this is fun. And there's nothing you can do.
He just charges Q and it hits the whole map.
Everything, yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. At least, I'm certain it hit every player. I'm not sure if it was every map. Well, we see the fight go back underway. Phelan's still going forwards, but...
Oh, Monk going to get to the flash there onto Soft. He's going to try and find that last basic attack. Doesn't quite manage to do so. They've got to respect ADM, who, again, is that ability to bring themselves back in teamfights with Phelan. They have a lot of damage coming out from that Vel'Koz.
It's a difficult situation because Phelan take the best opportunity they're going to get, which is Chibs not being on the map. But even then, they still don't come out ahead in a team fight. And the thing is, their composition doesn't do well when they're running forwards. They want to defend their carries. You saw Aragon just running forwards at Monk, soaking a full culling. Didn't go down well. No,
he has picked up the Warmogs now, though, so he's a bit beefier. But Monk is on a 3-item spike. Warmogs is not going to save you from a 3-item Lucian.
Yeah, you know what item's good against the Warmogs?
A Blade of the Ruin King.
Very true. And he is starting to get that crit build built up, which means he's going to pump through every member later in things, but... Another Infernal Dragon, not a good situation for M&M, I mean for Phelan, sorry, because I feel like they aren't in position to contest it.
But they look like they want to, that's the problem. I also think they probably shouldn't contest this, but they look like they want to. I think you wait for that Rabadons to be finished on ADM. That for me is an item that could potentially give you some game-winning team fights if you can pull off a big Vel'Koz ultimate.
I feel like you wait for the Baron. The Baron's a better objective to try and win a team fight off. I feel like this isn't the best one, and with Shogun on the flank, things already could be looking dicey, but Shogun's actually getting caught out here.
Yeah, has to pop the redemption very early.
And his ult.
Yeah, and Chu found a pretty good flank here, and Shogun maybe a little bit over antsy. He's now popped that ultimate he's going to be starting to take down, but they're going to back off. Shogun has taken a lot of damage, as has Chips here, actually.
Yeah, the poke's working.
This is actually not a bad situation for Phelan to be in. They're trying to go focus down and get this Infernal Dragon, as Snuggly now jumps onto the back line, looking for Achu. That's a great lockup of stuns, and Achu picks up the kill onto Shogun. What on earth happened here for M&M? Because Phelan basically snuck one out under their nose.
M&M just make another mistake where they don't get into the area soon enough. They don't establish vision control. Phelan get the opportunity to do so, and they end up winning out. We said if Phelan can protect their carries, they win. They found the flank from Shogun, and we're in a safe position, but now Nolty's coming in, but a TP is as well.
Achu is dancing around, trying to get the kill onto Mumus. That's a lot of damage onto Achu as Nolty's looking for it, but the stuns are landing thick and fast. A great stopwatch just at the time the Rend was going to be used, and that will keep Nolty in the game as Snuggly and Eragon now are being chased down and hunted by the rest of the M&M roster. Eragon will pick one up in return, but for the most part, M&M come out victorious.
It's bad, but not awful. Feeling get a handful of kills. They get quite a bit of gold from that. M&M might be heading over to that Baron, but with no jungler, there is a little bit of risk involved. Yeah,
no jungler for soft too, but you do have to respect the fact that ADM could just pump that ultimate over the wall, and that is something that you have to be a little bit worried about if you're going to be M&M in a situation with no smite.
I would make this play if I were them. I'd start the Baron. It's a risk, but I mean, Soft is coming down pretty fast, so I mean, I say it's a risk. This could be a bit too big of a risk because they don't do this Baron super fast.
No, it's not going down that quickly at all. Snuggly now looking to get some vision control around the area, and he will do. Here comes Soft as well, and he has got that smite. He should get there in time. They're trying to buy time. Oh, that's a great engage. That's a huge, huge kill there for ADM, who's still alive. He is still going, and he buys time for them to get the kill onto Lissandra. I have no idea what is happening here, but it's going to be Shogun paying the iron price once more, and Phelan pick up yet another miracle engage.
Just great play from them, and it feels like disrespect from M&M time and time again. They go for the over-aggressive plays, they get punished, and Phelan, they had a rough early game, but they are showing they can still play as a team, and now I think they're going to head and start this Baron up.
They do have to be careful too. You're going to be dealing with Mumus, who is pretty fed on this Aatrox, as well as a AP Gragas, who can be a little bit of a nuisance in these situations. Nolty going to look to push and put presence over the wall. I think Mumus is coming in too, but the Rend stacks are surely going to be a massive deal here for Phelan. They're going to try and turn back.
Oh, they knock him away, that's so big.
That's a huge knock away onto Mumus. We have to be so careful here. Nolty, oh, that's Eragon! What a monster! Knocks Nolty out the way, and the Rend picks up the Baron for Phelan. You said 5 minutes ago, Phelan get an Infernal Drake and a Baron. I'd have told you you're absolutely crazy.
And it just shows the shot calling and the coordination from Phelan is on another level. So far behind in gold, and yet they find the windows, and they punish M&M for their overconfidence. I wouldn't have tried to punish M&M there because I would have expected too much, but they've just absolutely made misplays, and you can see that goal difference. ADM's pulled ahead of his counterpart, and we said that Vel'Koz is going to be a monster in the late game, but now M&M, there's no Baron for them to take on the map. They're down in Infernal, and the gold gap, it's still big, but it's definitely closed.
There is just nothing for them to take on the map. It's not just that there is no Baron, there is absolutely nothing. They have to siege an inhibitor turret against Baron waves.
And when they have such short range, that's not really an option.
I mean, what Phelan have got here is about 3 to 4 minutes of just Sanctuary to be able to just farm. Because there's nothing they can lose at this point in time.
I mean, the only thing is that Dragon coming up in a minute 30 and a Mountain. When there's no Baron on the table, I would just be happy to give it up. But, I mean, at the way Phelan have been playing, they might take the team fight to M&M and win it out. Because this has been a great performance from them. Considering how dire the early game was, they've pulled it back massively.
We're almost looking at a 3-item Kalista now as well. I mean, she's bridged that gap. And we've still got a 3,000 gold lead for Monk at this point in time. But the gap is getting bridged.
And the thing is as well is that if Phelan play the team fights out how they want to play it, if they get a bit of poke off at the start from ADM and then they protect their carries, they win these team fights.
But let's talk about this in the context of the entire competition. If Phelan were actually to win this game, that is huge for Phelan and their chance at making playoffs. This is a game that Phelan really need to get in the bag because they are still a considerable way behind the XL and the M&M rosters who have got that 8 points currently. I think they'll be sitting at 10 after this week if they were to lose in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
But it's still a sort of a point difference that you can close if you get this win and then continue to have good performances in the following weeks.
Absolutely Phelan are playing to make playoffs now. They are going for the hero run, and M&M still their first opponent. And yes, the goal difference is still 7,000, but compared to the game state, you know, 5-10 minutes ago, way better now for Phelan. As long as they protect those carries, that's the crucial thing. M&M need to find access onto that Vel'Koz and shut him down. I need to lock down that Kalista, who crucially, no QSS picked up, so Alessandra ult onto the Kalista would be devastating.
Yeah, I got to give massive credit to ADM and his fancy feet on this Vel'Koz. You can see why he goes. You can see why he goes into the orb first? I can never remember the name of that.
Spellbinder.
Spellbinder, yeah. Builds from Nullifying Orb. You can see where he goes to Spellbinder first, because he's used that movement speed buff a huge amount. Every time these fights have sort of brought himself out, and he's been able to dodge in and out of everything that is thrown at him. I give massive credit to ADM. Although it doesn't look like the scorelines mean that much with a 3-2-2, he's probably had the most impact out of anybody in these fights.
Absolutely. It's just been, his ults have been devastating. Make the decision to give up that Mountain Drake, I think it's a good one. I don't think you had to contest that. And for once, Eminem make the setup. They control the vision in the area. And the question I've got to ask is, that's been the downfall to me for Eminem, is that they haven't played the macro correctly. They go for objectives, but they don't get that early to set up. And then when Phelan do the same, it gives Phelan the advantage. There were 2 Infernals on the side of Phelan that they had no right to have. Eminem were in control of the game when they picked up those Infernals, but disrespect and a lack of coordinated team play meant that Eminem didn't get there in time, didn't set up, and as a result lost those objectives. And I'm not going to say it yet, but if they lose the game, it's off the back of that.
I think it's still a long way to come back for Phelan. We've praised them a lot in terms of the way that they've reacted to certain plays on the map and team fights they've made, but it is still a significant gold gap that they have to come back from.
Yeah, and I think the crucial thing to look at is still Monk. You look, he's at this 4-item spike. Kalista has just picked up a 3rd, but it's still a big difference to have. But now, Kalista's at that point with Ginsu's Runans and the Blade of the King. If she's unchecked in a team fight, she can really start to put down a lot of damage.
And you are seeing a very powerful Vel'Koz as well, something that we will keep harking back to with a great front line. You've got the Braum and a very tanky Poppy now. Knight's Vow picked up for the Poppy too.
Which sure begs the question, maybe this is time for Eminem to start putting that 1-3-1 back into play. You have seen them got that formation right now, but we said Phelan want everyone grouped. They want that front line there, able to protect that back line. Eminem prefer things a bit split up because they have TPs from both their solo laners to offer. Right now, they're just trying to keep this side of Phelan pushed into their base and waiting 1 minute on that Baron spawn. A lot better control now from Eminem if you look towards that Baron area, and it's going to be difficult for Phelan to push out the base to contest that. For me, I always feel like you should be getting control on an objective a minute before it spawns. So Phelan, unless they start pushing up now, they might be in a position where they never get a chance to contest this.
Yeah, and you can see Monk just warding that area, just keeping it very, very safe, warding away Phelan from moving through their own red side jungle. Yeah, and that Baron is going to be spawning in 30 seconds, and Phelan do need to contest it.
You see, Soft and Snuggy, they brought Aragon over to start pushing up in the vision control. They want to contest this. With 30 seconds to go, this is a time where you want to get a couple of wards down and find a route safely through the jungle.
Yeah. I mean, Eminem's crux right now is they can't push through these inhibitor turrets very easily versus the likes. Oh my goodness, Soft. That is a huge amount of damage coming out from Monk. Aragorn is going to try and block as much as he can. Soft gets knocked away by Nolty. It was a good attempt, but the calculation wasn't quite there. Soft walks away with limited HP.
Close, though. It does mean that Soft is going to have to go back to base. There's potential for Eminem to start things up, but you still have to be very wary of the teamfight potential off this Vel'Koz, off this Kalista. They're heading over the Baron. They want to start up when Soft isn't here yet, but he's running back fast.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to get this quickly enough before the rest of Phelan can actually look to contest this. And you can see that.
Out. Look at the damage Nolty's taking.
Actually, that's a lot of damage going down. I mean, Nolty is full AP Gragas at this point in time, and you can see Phelan now looking to move in on this Baron area. There's the redemption coming through as Mummus starts to move in. Mummus taking a lot of damage, absolutely isolated. A great, again, ultimate from Snugly, doing a great job of zoning everyone away. Aragon isolates. Can he do anything from it, though, as Mummus has not had that GA popped? And crucially, Monk dove onto ADM in the backline. Oh, he goes for the hero play onto Monk, and Monk gets shut down. The laser absolutely burning through the Eminem roster, and Soft and Snugly are still going. ADM, the hero of this play. He has got so much damage, and Mummus and Alistair can do nothing to contest it. Phelan are looking for another hero play. Oh, that was rough, though. A little bit of an overextension.
Overzealous.
Oh, my heart. I can't take any more Phelan.
Yeah, they have to respect the Aatrox. I feel like they shut down Monk, who overstepped massively. But then the Aatrox is still 6-0-3 now after that team fight. He had GA, he had his ult as well. And I think at the end, when you had 3 members against 2, Phelan should have gone, okay,
happy.
We won,
yeah,
back off.
We're like 7k gold behind now, lads. I mean, that was a good fight for us. Let's not take it any further.
Yeah, and the thing is, the death time is still very heavy for Soft. I feel like Eminem can just rush towards the Baron as soon as they spawn. And you can see the TP coming out already. They're going to go for it.
They're going straight onto this Baron right now. You can see Mummus and Shogun are going to start it up. Whether Snugly caught that, I don't think he did. Another teleport coming through too. I think they've just given this Baron up.
Pings are coming out on the Elder Dragon. but it's
too late.
spawning now.
I think it's too late. I don't know if they're going to get that in time.
They're running over. They have to try and do something, but it looks like Monk's going to try and come over and stop them. They need to start hitting this very soon, because that Elder Dragon has a lot of HP. M&M are running down, and Snuggly's already chunked very low.
Oh, Monk's just absolutely smashed Snuggly. Can he get enough health back from this Honey Fruit? I don't know if he can. They're going to get the vision around it with the River Scuttler, but that is going to be everything that they can do in this situation. This game has been up and down, left and right, and it's not over yet as Phelan and M&M duke it out. The Elder Dragon has been started. It's going to be forced for Phelan to respond. If they lose the Elder Dragon and the Baron, that is it. That is game over for Phelan, you feel.
He's just looking to come in.
Yeah, he goes in. Snuggly. Oh, these ultimates have been so good. Can ADM do anything here as he's forced back by... he'll stop against the Elder Dragon. I didn't even see that, but the rest of Phelan are getting absolutely blown apart. Soft now, only with Aragon, and they lose their entire team. I think that's game over, despite that Elder Dragon take.
Yeah, they get the Elder Dragon, but they lose the team fight. Crucially, ADM wasn't able to find a good ult, just got jumped on by Chibs. And what did we say at the start of the game? Protect your backline, and that's how Phelan wins. And in that last team fight, they weren't able to, and now M&M. It wasn't clean, and they definitely made it close, but they finally managed to close this game out.
I can thank Phelan for me losing my voice at the end of this game. I almost had nothing left in the tank. M&M will take the victory. They deserved it from the get-go, but Phelan fought incredibly hard to make this a lot harder than it needed to be for M&M. And now we have our final of the UKLC setup. It will be M&M taking on Fnatic Rising for the chance to take on Diabolus at the top of the tower later today.
Absolutely, and I have to give credit to Phelan for making it as close as it was. That early game just did not go well, but they found a way back into it. It felt like they made the right decisions as a team on a lot of cases, but at one point they were just too far behind. M&M, they got that early lead. They really botched a lot of their setup, but in the end, great performances from the likes of Mummus and Chibs meant that they did win the game out.
So we're going to take a look at the MVP for this game, and I think actually rightfully so, we called it in the mid-game. Shogun will be the MVP for M&M. The engages that he set up for his team really gave them the keys to victory in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that early game, again, was really solid off the back of Shogun. He made things happen consistently. My only concern is just as a team, they were a bit lackluster in setup, and that's my concern going up against Fnatic.
Yeah.
Because Fnatic, they will punish if you make a single mistake. Phelan did their best, but Fnatic are on another level, I feel, and it's going to be a good match the next one, but M&M need to step their game up if they want to bring it to them.
They need to be much more focused, much more macro-orientated. They can't let those same mistakes fail against Fnatic. Let's have a look at the bracket now so we can see exactly where we are on the ladder. And you'll see as we climb towards the top of the tower, we've had a great set of matches. Notably today, XL and Fnatic Rising. Fnatic Rising really took down that mean composition from XL. M&M and Phelan, what a brilliant match that was, with Phelan almost finding their way back in, but that sets up the final of today, our third match, which will be Fnatic Rising taking on M&M. And again, after that, the winners will go on to take Diabolus at the top of the tower.
We've been sitting pretty this whole time, but with the games that have come out so far, it's been so tough and so close. It makes you kind of forget that we have another team on the table who put up great performances last week, and I feel like it's going to be a great next final, and then the tower challenge potentially even better.
Now remember, M&M did take down Fnatic last week at the top of the tower to give themselves that tower position. Can they do it again in their fight for the top of the tower this week? We'll have to see. When we're back after the break, we'll have Fnatic and M&M taking each other on.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UK League Championship. My name is Jake Kitbrain Matthews, and I am joined by Dan Orcs Harrison, and we'll be joining you for the finals of Week 5. Fnatic Rising have risen to the top, and they have to take on M&M, who knocked them out of the running last week. Knocked them off the tower, and then Enclave beat them while they were down.
What we have to remember is that the week in which Fnatic were home, which I believe was week 3, they smashed M&M very quickly.
Yeah.
And then next week, it was just a complete reverse where M&M smashed them. So I'm hoping for both teams to just bring it all here. Both of them, it's one apiece, in my opinion. I mean,
XL are now out. M&M have got through. So actually, I believe that M&M are now higher in the standings, if I like, because they were tied. So yeah, they managed to get that extra point over them, which now means that M&M are higher up in the standings. If they can beat Fnatic, who are second to get to the tower challenge, and actually get on top of the tower, I actually think there's a chance for M&M to take first this week if they get the win.
I'm not sure there is, because I think
They're on 9 points, I believe.
they're on 9. I think they can
Then
get...
they're on to 10 from the win today.
Yeah, and then they get
3
2
points. They'll tie with Dabless. They'll tie with Dabless, I think.
We'll have to double check on that. We'll check on the standings. But either way, a lot of points, which is obviously a good thing for M&M, who had a very rough start to the season, but have really bounced back. And then for Fnatic, it's been sort of like that roller coaster. Up. So they are on the up at the moment, but this is a big match to see who can keep going further, because obviously Fnatic cut XL story short, and sent them home. Yeah. And M&M, they won against Phelan. It wasn't super convincing though.
Yeah, I think that if we do look at the whole past 5 weeks we've had, Fnatic came in strong. They took the tower. They sat at the top of the tower. It's been an upward start for them, and then it started to go down a bit. And it's kind of evening out for Fnatic at the moment, but M&M have kind of been on the rise. They had a really bad start to the tournament, and they've been on the rise since then. Yes, they got knocked off the tower at the end of last week, but they were able to have this miracle run where they knocked out XL. They climbed all the way to the top of the tower, got beaten by Fnatic, and then in the rematch took Fnatic out and put themselves at the top of the tower. They've, outside of that one loss versus Fnatic, for the most part, M&M have definitely been on the rise. They're looking improved. They're looking better than from what we've seen.
I still have concerns about their play. In terms of scores, they're doing great. They are winning these games, but in that last game against Phelan, it felt like the setup wasn't as crisp as it should have been. Their control wasn't as good. When they were so far ahead, that game should have been shut and closed, right? And they gave Phelan a chance to get back into it. And if there's any, and Phelan were close, but if there's any team you can't give a lifeline to, it's Fnatic, because they will take it and they will run away with it. And that's why I'm a bit concerned about them going into this matchup, because Fnatic have looked pretty clean so far today. They had a rough early game against XL, but it meant nothing to them. As a team, they are playing as a 5-man unit, and I feel like in the last game, M&M, all the individual players played brilliantly, but as a team, I wasn't sold completely.
Yeah, the question is what are we looking into going into picks and bans? What are we expecting from these teams? Because, you know, Fnatic, we've seen different picks from them recently. You know, at the beginning of the season, it was all about that Yasuo bot lane. It was all about the Karthus R in the jungle. So, like, what are you kind of expecting coming into picks and bans?
Well, I think that they should pick something on down that has more pressure early. The Karthus, it's nice, but you kind of rely on the other team not doing anything to get to that point. So I think they should kind of wait a bit longer. They should kind of pick something that has more impact early. I think Fnatic should give themselves some early conditions, but also they can definitely guarantee getting to late game and be strong. Whereas M&M, I want to see Nulty and Mummus picking high impact champions and making stuff happen, because we saw such a great success from the Aatrox there.
So instead of Jake's prediction format, I'm actually going to give you a choice.
Oh, we actually get a choice. That's
so you actually get a choice. So
that'd be nice.
I want to know your choices and your reasoning, okay? And I'm going to make you wear your choice.
Wear it?
Yeah.
We got like blue tack to put it on our forehead or something.
I'll take one of these then.
Okay.
Oh, man, you see, I want to go smart.
No.
I want to go smart.
I said I was going to make you wear your choice.
Oh, the stickers.
Oh no, they're not stickers.
Oh, we're getting told not to do that.
wait a second.
We need some. You see, I don't have that option.
Thanks.
There we go.
There we go.
There we are.
Great.
Okay.
You see? Kinda. It's like an eye patch,
right.
but the Fnatic
Jake.
branded.
Wow.
See, I could go for the easy option here, right? I could go for Fnatic Rising, but I'm gonna shake it up. I'm gonna believe in the magic. Where are you gonna make me wear this? You put it in my hair. How's this? I mean,
I don't think it's going to stay.
Cool.
there we go. It's in.
Oh,
who are you going for? And how am I gonna clip this to you? There we go. There we go. Look
I
at
get
that.
the easy one.
I mean, I'm going to be right.
Yeah, well, I think...
That's why. I'm going to be right. I'm going to say M&M.
Reasoning?
I want magic to happen. I like shake-ups. I like exciting and just... I'm all for the drama.
Yeah, that's some really great reasoning.
And that is my
Ladies and
reasoning.
gentlemen, this just in. Jake wants magic, and he just likes drama, and this is how he bases all of his
Mate, I work in the UK scene. I love drama. What do you want about?
Is this a film or the underdog's guaranteed
Wait
to
a second,
win?
Jake. I've got you your magic. I'm just being told your Hogwarts letter is on its way.
Yes! Finally.
What about you, Dan? Give me a reason.
I think M&M didn't look crisp against Phelan. I think Fnatic have gone from strength to strength. Sure, the early game was a bit shaky, but they showed they can play as a team, and I'm still wondering about that for M&M because yes, the individuals have looked strong, but they still seem a bit shaky when they gel together.
See, that's what I want when I get some prediction reasoning.
Okay, well, you started as a color caster. Give me a good reason for why you expect M&M could win this. Tell me.
Oh,
I know you're going for.
Okay.
I know you're going for Fnatic as your
All right.
official vote, but color me on why M&M would win this game.
So, I think...
Outside of Magic, obviously.
Outside of Magic. I think when you look at the bot lane, I think that's always been M&M's driving force behind their wins. And although Fnatic have got a strong bot lane, especially when it comes to later game, I think Xmati is a brilliant late game AD carry. Their laning phase has been exploited a few times.
Yeah.
We've seen we've seen in the game with XL. That was magic.
I did magic trick.
He did a magic trick and made it disappear. I think the laning phase can sometimes be exploited, and I think Xmati and Prospect haven't had the strongest laning phases. And maybe if we're going to see something like Nolty last game, the level 2 gank bot lane to get Monk rolling, we could potentially see a snowball through bot lane.
Yeah,
It's basically not Naughty Elise.
I think my other thing as well is that Fnatic played quite a slow game. We saw XL get some early tempo. The issue with XL was that they didn't,
They played AP Sejuani
they
mid.
didn't
That
give
was the
themselves,
problem with
they didn't give
XL.
themselves any late game win conditions. I feel like the last time we saw M&M trash Fnatic, they got ahead early and then they kept that lead. And I feel like if you do that against Fnatic again, because they want to play that slow game and they had opportunities to get back in the XL game, just don't let that happen.
Do you realize I didn't really take my headset off when I'm in this situation here, but you guys talk really loudly when the headset's not on.
Because we have the headsets on,
I know,
so
it's like, I think M&M are going to win, and it's really good.
M&M are really good and I love them.
I can barely hear your mic, so I'm just hearing kind of a muffled version
You like
of you.
mouth lip reading. Right, guys, I'm going to sort of leave you guys to do this once more. I'm going to disappear out and do a magic trick like Orcs did.
Well, if everyone's doing it, you got the whoop. Oh, there it goes. All right, we're going through into picks and bans for our finals here at the UKLC. Now, last time, I just want to kind of raise the point going about the XL game. Last time we saw Prosper with an AP Sejuani, an inting AP Sejuani was on his team. So it's probably quite relieving to see the inting Sejuani on the enemy team.
Yeah, wouldn't complain about that. I think both teams should look for sort of junglers where they have that early win condition. Good lane matchups top. Mid laners you can roam. I think that was the big thing, is that both teams picked out Lissandra mid and could roam with it. And then a scaling win condition, not something super scale. I'm not saying pick like protect the Cogma or something, but just something that really brings the comp together when you get into those later stages. That's what I think both teams should aim towards. Do they feel the same? Who knows? And will they be able to get that without the other team stopping them? We'll have to see.
All right. Well, Fresh, Jace, and Nocturne all taken off the board so far. M&M for the second ban. What do they want to take away? It's going to be the Jarvan. Was left open versus Fnatic, but they didn't actually pick it up last time.
The thing I'm not a fan of here is because I feel like everyone on red side bans Nico. Like, you have to ban Nico. But now because you're leaving Nico till third, you can't react to them, whatever they ban. I mean, they banned the Lucian, so it's not a big deal. Because essentially you could have taken that for yourself if M&M were forced to ban the Nico themselves. But I'd be very surprised they left it open. I'd go as far as to say shocked.
I mean, if Fnatic don't get it, if M&M leave it open and Fnatic don't first pick it, I know Monk will play it. It's very much, I
mean, I feel like it's very similar to Kennen. You can play it top lane if you're Shikari. So yeah, it does come through. And got a question, what can Fnatic pick up? The Galio's still available. Olaf, if they want to prioritize that early for Dan, is a bit of an interesting one. The Lissandra is a big one that Magic Felix and Chivs played. Not sure how I'd feel about picking it super early, but if you wanted to
lock it in. I mean, it suits Dan, right? It suits his style. He likes to kind of snowball his advantage through hard farming, and Olaf can farm very quickly.
What is Nulty known for? Is Nidalee. And what is good into Olaf? The Nidalee. So we could potentially see that come out. You commit to that Olaf that early, leaves the potential to be abused. We'll see the Galio get Harvard, and that makes a lot of sense because Shogun was happy to make these aggressive plays, and Galio is a great tool to do that and also follow up on your team. Personally, if I was Eminem, I'd take the Lissandra here, but I'll have to see what they want to go towards.
I mean, we saw Shogun on the Alistair just in the game before this. He looked very good on it. He was the MVP of the game, getting himself on another playmaking support. Want to see what they kind of pair that up with as their AD. We're not going to see another Kog'Maw. I don't think Kog'Maw Galio would be the most fun thing for them to play. So
they are actually going to go for the Kai'Sa, so prioritizing Monk pretty early on, and no, they
oh wait, they do it. Okay, they're locking the Kog'Maw.
Wow,
I got baited. I got baited.
They have that late game win condition, so if they do get to late enough, they can sort of offer that. But you now are picking the Galio Kog'Maw blind.
Okay. Last time they played this, they played an Ivern's jungle, Nulty. So, do they go into the Ivern again? I mean, they have to pick it now because I feel like if they don't pick it now, Fnatic will just ban it away because they know their playstyle.
They know they offer the protection, and I feel like they're gearing up for a really rough laning phase as well. They picked the Zoe here, which is nice mid. I would have been tempted to move the Galio mid and then pick something better to support the Kog'Maw. But now you're going into a situation where you're playing the bot lane blind because you picked that Galio Kog'Maw, and yes, you can ban some AD carries here, but you don't know what you're going to be going up against. And then I'm going to start to throw some bans of what Shikari might take in the top lane. I mean, I like the Zoe pick, but right now there isn't that much protection for that Kog'Maw, and you're dealing with a Sandra on the other side, which MagiFelix was excellent on.
Yeah.
He has that same potential to do that again. I'm just not super happy on the sort of decisions that have been made by Eminem so far, but we know Monk can carry on this Kog'Maw, and I really like Chibs on Zoe, so we'll have to see. But it's definitely been more standard coming out from Fnatic Rising.
I mean, last time we saw the Kog'Maw comp as well, they ran the Aurelia. And the last time we saw Fnatic versus Eminem, they ran the Aurelia. And Chips had an incredible game on that champion. So
yeah, and it got left open and he didn't even touch it. But
yeah, I feel like it suited
Zoe's
the style because it brought so much of a... It was such an effective front line that meant that Monk was just untouched because they were worrying about Chips. This time they're going for the Zoe, so they have a little bit of poke and a little bit of tidy up with the Kog'Maw. So it's... I'm curious to see how this kind of works in comparison to how they used... Because last time they just ran like a team fighting comp with an effective front line and made sure Kog'Maw was left alone. This time, they've got a very different style mid laner here.
It's interesting that they've mostly just been banning away a lot of top laners here, and Eminem haven't banned away a single AD carry, so they're really saying they're not scared of Xmighty and Prosphere. They're willing to pick the Kog'Maw so early and not ban away any extra AD carries. They only banned away the Nico, which is basically a perma-ban on this patch on red side, so they're really not afraid of what Fnatic have to offer in the bot lane, which may be a good decision or maybe a dire bad decision. And
oh, there it is. The Nidalee for Nulty. So not going for the Ivern, actually just going to go for that Nidalee. 100% win rate in the UKLC.
Still does offer some peel and assistance to that Kog'Maw. Gives that heal, which gives you attack speed buff, but not a ton. It's not exactly the sort of shielding that the Ivern offers. Does make me a bit concerned about how they're going to facilitate this Kog'Maw later on. And it's now down to Fnatic. What do they want to pick into it? A Sivir would work with his composition. It's what they like to go for. But a Sivir isn't as good for pinning out the Kog'Maw and is at range. They're going to go for the Vayne. They want some late game themselves.
All right, that's a pretty flashy pick here. As we saw Xmighty pick it up twice today now, and he had pretty decent game one on it. Looking for the final pick here for Fnatic Rising. What are they looking to lock in as their final pick? They're looking for a top laner at the moment.
Yeah.
Unless that Lissandra flexes top and they put something else mid, but...
Probably be a top lane. It's blind, so...
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Shikari would play. Something safe. You know, you have the options like... I mean, the Ornn works. You have the Braum yourself, so it denies that engage. It's more engaged to get on top of the Kog'Maw, and the late game is insane because you can give out items for free to your team members. The one downside is you pick that Ornn blind, so... I think a big thing is the fact that look how many split pushes are banned away. You know, that Aurelia's off the table, that Kennen's off the table, that Yorick's off the table. And I mean, if Mumma's just locking that Renekton, and if he doesn't crush lane, he's not exactly going to be a massive split push threat.
Yeah.
Split push threat.
Yeah, he's not fresh, he's a Renekton.
Yeah, true.
We have seen, like, recently, though, Mummas has been really big on these carry top laners, and he's had pretty good showings. We saw the Aatrox earlier from him today. Getting his hands now on to the Renekton versus, you know, the Ornn. This isn't the really powerful Ornn we're used to where the W was, you know, so impactful for him in lane. Renekton can punish this quite hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And with an Italy as well, you can pressure that top lane. But I know Shikari is the player who is just like a brick wall in the top lane.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get a significant lead top to sort of take over the game. It's really going to come down to how much Nulty can do. And then,
And I mean, even if Ornn does fall behind, he's very similar to Malphite. As long as he's got 6, he can still
and
start a fight.
He's still going to give those items to his teammates. And at some point, it's going to be like Vayne uses, I don't know, 4 or 5 autos on the Renekton and he dies. At some point, he's going to become just a big cannon minion. So that's what I'm really concerned about. But it does give them one of an earlier win condition. If they can play around the Renekton early, then they get the Kog'Maw strong. And Kog'Maw tends to spike pretty well mid-game. Vayne probably needs a bit longer because of a lack of range. Because in the mid-game, Kog'Maw just pops W, and if anything comes near him, he just shreds it. Vayne still needs sort of defensive items before she can go up close. So I think the sort of turn-on time for Xmati is a bit longer. But the issue is there's this composition coming out from Fnatic where they have that Lissandra, they have that Olaf, and they're just so hard to deal with for a Kog'Maw in the early levels.
It's a matter of how they play the engage, because Fnatic, they have limited engage outside of the Ornn ultimate. It's Lissandra has to get like a decent flank with a claw. Olaf can pop R and run through the team, but the rest of the team can just peel back and try and keep the Kog'Maw alive. So that's the question. Is last time they had the ability to do that because they had the Ivern to allow them to peel back. They don't have that this time. They have to make sure that Monk can actually peel himself, because taunt from Galio won't stop a Olaf.
And that's my concern, is that
ulti.
like one big CC chain on the Kog'Maw and it's just going to fall apart. And then what else do you really have in the composition? Because Renekton later on is going to carry the team fight share in mid-game. I feel like that's the thing, is that mid-game, I think the composition from MNM can pop off. They need to get a lead early off that Nidalee and the Renekton. Then mid-game, they take over when the Kog'Maw is super strong. And then they just need to avoid the late game by trying to close things out before that Vayne comes online. Because like, it gets to a point where, again, I think the Vayne, if she gets up in the Kog'Maw's face, like she'll just put 2 or 3 autos into him and they'll die.
So how does Chibs fit into all this? Because we talked about what the Lissandra can offer, but what is Chibs going to be offering for the team? He's kind of been something we've left blank so far for the M&M roster.
What did he pick again?
Zoe.
Zoe, yeah.
It was like
I had everything
a minute ago, mate.
Everything else pictured in my head, but the Zoe. But yeah, I mean, the Zoe, it offers a lot of good objective control. It's strong in the mid-game as well, but as to how it really fits in, I mean, a big thing is the objective control. You have a ton of poke between the Nidalee and the Zoe, so you can use that as a win condition, but...
All right, well, we are through into our finals here. Fnatic Rising versus M&M. But don't go away after this game, guys, because the winner of this will go forward to our Tower Challenge to take on Diabolus and try and take them off that spot. M&M itching to get that spot back as well, as Diabolus did beat them out last week.
That is one big thing with M&M's comp, is the range advantage, because everyone on Fnatic is pretty short ranged, and there's a lot of poke coming out from M&M. So if they get control, like I said, in their mid game, it's very hard for Fnatic to face check without looking to go in. Like if they're going for an engage, great. But if they're just looking to sort of check things, they're likely to take a Sleepy Trouble Bubble or a Spear to the face. Or even a few Kog'Maw auto attacks, and that's the sort of concerning thing. So if Fnatic get ahead in this game, I'm really going to worry for M&M. But if M&M get ahead, I definitely think there's a way they can close this out. They just have to make sure things don't go on too long, because if it happens like it did in the Phelan game, I think Fnatic are a lot more likely to come back and take this one.
My favorite thing about the tournament server is the duck always spawns in the river.
It's nice. It's nice to have him always there.
He's quite a rare spawn, actually. I think you only see him like 5% of your games.
Just like my jungler.
Dan's been spotted out. Ooh. Even goes for that sweeper start as he normally does. Is Nulty just throwing spears at him.
I like that Nulty's trying to be aggressive, because a lot of people just leave down unchecked to farm away. Nulty picked this Nidalee because he wants to pressure him. He's punishing the Olaf first pick and already trying to pick up one of these Scuttle Crabs. Is what I want to see, because I think a lot of people just let Dan do his farming thing. And Nidalee's a pretty good farmer in itself, so if you can interrupt him, you can definitely get a good lead there.
Well, Nulty being very proactive on the map, looking for a spear into Magic Felix. Not going to make it happen, and Chibs now hitting level 3 with that bubble. Just pokes a little bit out here, as now Shogun taking a fair amount of damage there from Xmati, who has got his W ready.
I'm really concerned about the laning strength of Kog'Maw Galio, because if you get locked down by the Vayne Braum, I feel like you're very liable just to die.
Ooh, good bubble. They know where he is, but they're not actually going to commit here. Nulty's just going to steal that away.
It's good to see again because a lot of people just leave Dan unchecked to farm up a storm, but Nulty stopped that from happening. I like that Chibs is off from pressure too.
It's like we went back 30 seconds. That was exactly the same phrase you used 30 seconds ago about it. But it's true. It is completely true.
It's what I want to see.
He's still got so many camps in his own jungle to stake as well here for Nulty, so he's quite content. As Mumma's actually taken pretty awkward trade with Shikari, but guys, the poll is now over on Twitch chat. Let us know who you think's going to win this. Will it be Eminem or Fnatic? I'm fairly certain I know what the audience at home are going to say, but
yeah, but we're going to see.
We'll see
the marshmallows can come out in the vote. But yeah, I mean,
they beat him last week.
There's a definite range advantage from the Kog'Maw and the Galio when Kog'Maw pops his W, and the fact that Galio can throw his Winds of War. But the thing I'm concerned about is the fact that if you go in as the Galio, you're very liable just to get locked up by the Braum and die. And there's not a ton Monk can do about it, especially if your CC's down at the Galio. So gotta be a bit cautious. The one advantage they have is they've gone for the Ignite, whereas on the other side, Fnatic have got the Cleanse and the Heal. So harder to lock down X-Mighty, but better all-in potential in the lane.
I'm actually seeing Chibs opt into the area as well. So recently it's been a lot of electrocute Zoes. Chibs looking more for the poke in lane.
Dan getting some revenge, stealing some camps away from Nulty.
Yeah, I believe Nulty wasn't spotted there, although they did have sight on the camp because of that Scryer.
They gotta assume that he is there because the camp wouldn't just take itself.
Yeah. Depends if they're looking. They've pinged it out, so they are aware he's there. Mummas, a little bit low on HP, but there is a heal available on Nulty, and Shikari might want to be a little bit careful, but a big wave for Mummas to catch as he jumps in with a slice, has that dice out, and now multiple members are making their way up here for Fnatic. Magic Felix taking a couple of tower shots, a little bit too many here.
This is a textbook Fnatic play to move Magi Felix up to a side lane on the Lissandra and look for a gank, but I just don't think they expected Nulty to be there. So good read from him to be there to counter gank.
Now, I believe that Fnatic won the vote. 54% of the vote.
So close. Very close.
I can understand the vote as well. If you've been watching previous weeks, you know, this is a team that's beat Fnatic, then they've done it recently, so I can understand why people might have some faith in M&M here.
Yeah, which is fair, and I think their draft, it's an interesting one, but I understand what they're trying to go for, and if they manage to execute, they definitely have a chance here.
Oh, Dan's coming in. Chibs is also
Magic
making
Felix
their
is
way up.
6.
Magic Felix does have ulti, connects onto one. Prospect flashes forward, the concussive blows go down, and Magic Felix finds first blood.
I don't think they were ready for the Lissandra 6. Very aggressive move from Magi Felix, and it shows why they are willing to prioritize this Lissandra.
I love this signature so much. Which is your favorite signature?
I like Inax's no arm one.
I think Inax has a bunch of really good ones because he has the dance, doesn't he? The Fortnite dance.
God, yeah.
I'm quite a big fan of Snuggly just walking off.
Yeah. I like a lot of fail ones. I think when they're used at the right time, they're good. Nulty hasn't found out Dan here, but he's level 4 to Dan's level 5, so I wouldn't want to run into an Olaf here.
He's down in CS as well, and Dan misses out on the first one. The spear goes back towards the direction that Nulty wants to run.
He was expecting Dan just to flash over him, despite the fact he had no flash. That's the only thing I can assume. Shikari doing pretty well in these trades.
Yeah, Shikari's doing fine. He's equal in CS. He's keeping up with the Renekton, and going back to what you said in Champ Select as well, if the Renekton doesn't get ahead, doesn't get going, what does he offer for this team?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big presence in mid-game teamfights. Like, if he gets on the backline, he is very threatening. But at the same time, it's like, I'd rather have an Ornn when it gets to 30 minutes than a Renekton any day.
Yeah, well, Shikari's been forced to flash. Mummas did slice forward, holds his flash for the moment, so it gives him an advantage.
Aggressive use of the ult to get a good trade on Shikari, but does now no longer have it, and Shikari still has his ult available.
Well, Nulty now still level 5. Not quite as powerful as Olaf getting level 6 midly, as you start with your ulti.
Bit of extra damages, but you know, it's still something. You see, he might be looking for an opportunity if Shikari steps up. And they're actually looking for the dive now.
That's going to be the Ornn Horn down. Shikari gets a knock up onto one. He might just look to go 1v2. Mummas gets out with a heal by Nulty, keeps him alive. Kill over to Eminem.
That was frustratingly close. I really thought it was going to be Bosch and turn around, but unfortunately Shikari can't find it. Good CC coming out, but it's not enough. But Fnatic going to try and get this Ocean Drake on the other side of the map, but it's what you want to see from Eminem. Punish that Ornn in the top lane.
Man, when you guys have Fnatic at the beginning of the day, it was a high action, high tempo game. I get Fnatic, and it goes back to the slow map control game we know Fnatic for. As Monk actually is stepping forward here onto Prospect. Chips is trying to see if he can find an opening. Paddlestar not going to be followed up by the portal jump.
Oh, I could see what Shogun was looking for. He wanted to catch Dan at the end of the Ragnarok, but it lasted just too long. The taunt expired. They do force Dan away and get a Zul, but at the end of the day, he got the dragon, and that's what he wanted.
Here's an Ocean Drake, so it gives nice regen over to
Strong
Fnatic.
in the lane.
Does a bit of that poke that the Winter Wall's going to be doing.
Arf, arf.
It's so annoying.
I love it.
Was that skin out when he was the old Cogmore? The one with the, one of the reworked Cogmores, the one where his W basically gave him double attack speed?
No, I don't think it was.
That would be really annoying.
Yeah, that would.
8 attack speed. Sounds like my neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
6 in the morning. It's like Cogmore for Rage Blade.
Blue buff passed off to Chibs. Haven't seen too much from the Zoe yet.
Was it Dan yesterday who just stole the blue buff? I say stole the blue buff.
Just took it, decided it's mine.
Yeah.
Might do it again. I don't know. Would have passed him.
Junglers are the worst.
Oh my god. Can't stand him.
It's a hard life as a jungler.
Bing. Bong. Bing. Bong.
It's not the sound of her auto attacks.
It's just how I feel it should sound. I can't do that sound. I can't do like a...
I'm not going to try.
You try, yeah. Pretty slow game so far. We do see Nulty heading over to that Rift Herald though, and I can see Dan heading over in return, but remember, his Ragnarok is now available again.
Yep.
So, does have that team fight potential.
Shogun Monk, I have actually swapped out here. You can see the Fnatic have called the bluff by sending Prospect in for X-Maddie. We might have a fight in the claw. The 3-man route by Magic Felix has come out. That's going to be the Glacial Fissure. Magic Felix ults himself and Shogun is in the mix of the fight, but Mumus comes in. It's 2 quick kills for Eminem. The Ornhorn is not enough to take out Monk, but now they're turning it around. X-Maddie chasing onto Tibbs. The Silver Bolts are ripping through him, and Fnatic take themselves the fight and the Rift Herald.
Great engage from Magic Felix, but in the end, he got left with no cools. Oh, it resets. That is so
That went
sad.
from really bad for Eminem to not so bad.
I mean, it's fine for Eminem now. Monk manages to survive. Just Magic Felix went in with such a good engage at the start, but I feel like the mistake was not ulting Monk. He ulted himself, and it meant that Monk was there to punish him when he came out of that stasis. So maybe look for the miracle play, but the damage just wasn't there. And it ends up being a fairly even trade.
Yeah, it's good trade chips now. Picked up a cleanse as well, so small window where might be a little bit harder to pin down.
I mean, he already has a cleanse, so now he has 2
Double
cleanses.
cleanse.
Yeah.
Actually, he's really hard to pin down now.
Crucially, no flash. A big thing in that team fight is look at their summoner spells. So I'm looking over at Fnatic, and everyone has that flash. No one used it in that team fight. Shikari's is coming up soon. But look at Eminem. The bot lane and mid all use their flash. So
Bot lane used all their summoners in that fight.
yeah. Next team fight, Fnatic should have the advantage from that. Especially since that was an even trade for them.
Yeah. Well,
Now Fnatic are trying to make the confident moves and get control of that Herald area. Because, I mean, if I'm them, I'm going to be like, look, we have summoner advantage. If a team fight's going to come, we will win.
and the big thing as well is they want to take this because they want to switch out back towards bot lane for this Infernal Drake respawning in a minute as well. So taking off Rift Herald means you're not going to be trading objective 1-for-1 here. But Nulty wants to see if he can make something happen, but Dan's going to pick up that Rift Herald, and Eminem just going to be sent back to their lanes, to their jungle.
One big thing is that Eminem's comp is their ults kind of suck. Like, Galio is good for the range potential, but it's hard to get a good one in a team fight. But like, Zoe, Nulty, and Monk all have, well, Chibs, Nulty, and Monk all have very short cooldown but low impact ults. When you compare it to the likes of a Vayne, a Lysandra and a Braum. We want things to happen now. And it might be a big advantage in a team fight if they manage to find those crucial big ults.
And Nolty's not really been able to do too much on this Nidalee. We knew him as a big player of the champion. As actually, bit of damage is coming in. Great block up by Prosper. And Chibs actually maybe getting close here. Has got his cleanse. He's going to be forced to use it already. In goes the Glacial Fissure. And down goes Chibs. Fnatic Prosper flashing forward, and the rest of the team maybe going to go for a kill, but they're going to step away for the moment.
If that spear hit, it might have been a different story, but there wasn't enough.
Top lane?
Magic Felix just going to kill Monk with no summoners, and now Fnatic making the push mid.
Really putting some holes in the ship here for M&M. We'll be able to at least save this turret mid lane, but they lose a fair amount of gold and a couple of kills as well as the Infernal Drake spawns up. What can M&M do? Chibs is alive, Monk still not alive yet.
The one advantage is that Magic Felix isn't here and has no ult, so they might take the opportunity to contest, but they're down 2 members, it'd be very dicey.
Oh, the Ram jams on, and that's going to be Nolty getting knocked up. Infernal Drake gets picked up by Fnatic. And M&M just going to have to walk away again. They're just scratching their heads. They're struggling to find an opening.
Yeah, their coordination as a team just still seems off. And Fnatic, they play as a 5-man, and you can sort of see the difference here. And also, you're just able to jump away.
Spear hurts.
Yeah, not enough. I mean, M&M, they have talented individuals. You can see that from their play, but it just still feels like they don't get the control of the areas. They kind of get caught out. I don't know why Monk was up top solo pushing just to get caught out by Magic Felix. And it feels like Fnatic have a better read on the map. So I think M&M are going to have to really find momentum somehow. Find an opportunity where they outnumber Fnatic or they have better setup and they can still find a way in this game. But we're still getting past that 15-minute mark, that mid-game point, and Fnatic are in the lead, which isn't a great omen going forwards because a lot of these champions on MM side, although some are strong in the late game, I feel like they might struggle up against a Vayne and an Ornn when it gets super late.
And also, if you look at like Mumus's build here, he's going towards the Black Cleaver as his first item. We've been seeing more like Spear Sojins, maybe the GA for the occasional split push for Nectin as their first item. That just shows you how much of a trouble Mumus is having into Shikari, so he's having to go into the Cleaver to try and shred him.
Oh, good.
Might have to hold that though, because Fnatic looking for a play onto Monk. Monk will get caught out here. They're going to flash, pin him in down, and Prosper slams him into the ground with a Glacial Fissure. One more kill is going to go over to X Matty, and it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to get the kill back, which is okay, but at the end of the day, they shouldn't have been there to defend that tower. You have to expect Fnatic to come down hard, and in return, Nolty and Mumus try and make moves bot, but all they get is a flash from Shikari. They don't get the tower, they don't get the kill. Definitely a favorable trade for Fnatic.
Definitely so. And you can see their next Drake spawning, I believe, is an Infernal as well. Need to double check that.
Woohoo.
So even more Infernals for Fnatic, and they can just continue to assert dominance in this game. X-Matty, this is probably not what you want here. Bubble actually does connect, but Prosper can just block it up. It's going to do so. Do hold the tower, though.
Yeah, I think if Magic Felix had ult, that'd be more concerning, but did have it on cooldown, so Nolty's safe to step up there. And now, I think he's looking to recall, so MM take this opportunity to look for a 5-man mid. Remember, they have great poke, really good siege at this point, and without that ultimate, Fnatic aren't as strong.
Definitely putting their foot down. That's going to be the bubble onto Dan. Not forcing the Ragnarok out yet. Shikari, though.
That's a lot of damage.
He's got a lot of armor,
But
not a lot of magic resist.
Yeah. Showing that sort of mid-game power from the Zoe. So that's the thing is that in that siege situation, when Fnatic can't engage, M&M look great.
Yeah.
But then if Fnatic do engage, they look less great.
I mean, Luden's Echo's now been picked up for Chibs as well, so in a pretty comfortable position. Mumus is pushing away in this top lane, not actually going to be able to take this turret quite yet. Isn't aware where Fnatic are. They do finally take down that mid lane, and Monk, once again, is solo in a lane, does have Nolty nearby this time.
Yeah, pings are coming out, they're looking for the flank. Nolty's here, but I'm not sure if that's going to be much help.
You're going to have to watch that ultimate, though. Can Shogun find himself an opening? Dan's already lost a little bit of HP, and this is going to be Magic Felix entering into the fray. The Galio knocks him up, and Magic Felix, it's forced to use the ulti on himself, has no claw, has no flash, and Monk gets the shutdown.
Yeah, and he was just overconfident. Great CC chain by Shogun meant he only just managed to get the ult off, but crucially, the claw couldn't get him out of there, and the shutdown on a Monk is the best case scenario. Maddie and Prosper waiting though.
Oh, Monk, he's going to get condemned, but he flashes away. Dan's entering in. It's a 3v4. The Glacial Fish is on, and Nulty is kiting away. Moose jumps in, and another shutdown has been picked up for Monk. Monk will carry, baby. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a fight is breaking out with Chibs. He's trying to get himself a kill. He might just find it. The bubble's on. He's got a barrier. The turret's going to go down, and that's another kill for Eminem.
And just when things were looking dicey, Eminem go hard in this mid game. They find a great team fight. Beautiful flash from Shogun to capitalize. And the question has to be, what was Xmighty and Prosper doing? Cleanse and Flash still available. Flash from Prosper still available. And they just hand over kills to Monk. And this Cogmore, if there's anyone you don't want to be giving kills, it's him.
It's especially Monk's Cogmore, man. We saw what he's done on it. It's got 100% win rate here in the UKLC at the moment. One game, to be fair. But that game, they were losing the first half of it. And then Monk, he came up huge. Once he had that Hurricane as his third item, he was unlocked. And now he's got the Guinzoos, he's got the Blade of the Ruin King. Two of the most expensive items in this Cogmore's build have been finished.
I mean, the core items, he's ahead of the curve compared to the Vayne. And Cogmore is better mid-game than the Vayne is. Just outright. Like, Vayne is going to scale better because in the late game, she's so hard to deal with that invisibility and the true damage. But in the mid-game, this Cogmore, there's no one who can really stand up to him. I mean, Shikari will go down very fast. Dan will go down very fast. If he's free hitting, he murders anyone.
All right, well, correction is it's an Ocean Drake, not an Infernal Drake.
Next is an Infernal, though.
Next is the Infernal.
Eminem no doubt want to get that on their hands to equalize in terms of the stats.
Ocean's great for them as well, though, because they are a poke and siege comp, so the ability to get that little bit extra mana back actually is very nice for them. As you can see, they're grouping up here in this mid lane. Magic Felix is the only one to try and defend, so they are just going to give up this turret, but you can see Fnatic grouping in the top lane are going to just have a couple of recalls here. They don't want to try and base race the
they don't want to get flanked, so they will back off. They try to apply some pressure otherwise, but Eminem looking really solid when they had a bit of a dicey early game, but they're getting back into things, and this is when Eminem's comp is really strong. The Renekton feels almost unkillable. The Monk is just putting out too much damage for anyone to withstand. The Zoe is at that core Oblivion Orb, Pen Boots, and Luden's sort of one-shot combo. And then even Nulty on this Nidalee, the spears are pretty relevant, and the heal is too, so Fnatic, they're good at this, but they need to kind of weather the storm and wait for an opportunity where they just murder the Cogmore, because if they don't kill him instantly, they lose.
Well, Fnatic had a gold lead, and now it's equalized. We're at 20 minutes into the game. There is 100 gold separating both of these teams. You got a Cogmore with his two major items finished up. There's so much capability to keep him alive.
Yeah, and he's got the stopwatch now, which makes things even trickier.
And a lot of the summoners are coming up fairly soon here.
Apart from Cogmore's flash, which is the one crucial one.
To be fair, Shogun's flash is on the same cooldown, so that's another engage.
Here's the 200 IQ play, is that Matty and Prosper didn't use their summoners when they died, so they're still available.
I see what they were doing.
Yeah, saving them for later, saving them for late game.
They got to do it quick, though. Magic Felix is jumping in, flashes on. Going golden for Monk for the moment. They're throwing the bubble in, and that is just going to be an instant deletion. Fnatic are alive. Xmatty gets one on the back line, and down goes another. Eminem are losing members left, right, and center. Chips can do nothing but watch and flash and cleanse, but it means diddly squat. Shikari takes him down, and only Mama stands.
And that is the power of Fnatic's engage. They see Monk stepped up slightly, and they punish. Without that flash, he was a sitting duck, and now Fnatic turn onto the Baron. There's nothing that they can do to stop them.
Well, now Xmatty and Magic Felix have used their flashes.
Yeah.
And they got Baron and a team fight win, so pretty good.
I think it was just, they saw the opportunity, they pulled the trigger, they just destroyed Monk. And you got a question because he was at the front of his team.
Yeah.
You know, there was no one in front of him. He had to stopwatch to buy time, but even then, his flash wasn't available, and that's the crux, is that if Magic Felix gets in range to lock you down, you're never going to survive it. So now, we've given the Baron over to Fnatic. They have almost a 4k gold lead, and they're in the driving seat, and that's when things get difficult, because again, I mean, look at Shikari. He's picked up those 2 upgraded items. Next level, he's going to start throwing them out to teammates. It just makes the scaling more and more difficult, and that Vayne, we saw her pumping out a lot of damage in that team fight. It's only going to get worse.
Curious whether or not he goes for a QSS quickly on the Cogmore now after that pretty horrific play for himself. We've got 1 minute 50 until the second Infernal spawns. You know the Fnatic are going to be wanting that. And M&M doing their best just to try and push these waves out, get some control in these side lanes. But Fnatic heading towards the bot lane now.
Monk is split pushing.
Again.
What?
Magic Felix has teleport. I mean, he will get this turret. But what is the cost here? He's playing into a team with a massive wave and Baron buff. Like,
I guess they were in a position where they thought this tower's gone anyway, so they were going to sacrifice it. But if M&M got caught out here, they're without their Cogmore, and they're very vulnerable.
Yeah,
I think they are
back.
just going to put some poke in and then face them off.
He's got the Zeal. Turret will go down to that cannon.
Ever offensive is Monk, goes for the Zeal, not the QSS.
I feel like I'd like the QSS, but we're going to hold fast on that for the moment.
If he positions flawlessly, then maybe he doesn't need the QSS, but so far he hasn't. He does have a splash available now again. Things still looking dicey, and a big thing is look at the level difference in the mid lane. Magifelix at 15 compared to the 13 of Chibs, and it's so easy to make an impact on Lissandra. You press R, and it's gonna be impactful.
Ooh. Dan just got chunked by the, Monk.
Yeah, well, if you're building raw HP against that Cogmore, not gonna do much.
I'm going to do a lot indeed. All right, Fnatic grouping up once again in this bot lane. Bubble. Bop. Not going to hit.
Close, but no cigar. And Monk, happy to just farm things up, but his position is still something that concerns me because he seems so confident, but if he gets caught out, the whole comp falls apart without him.
Yeah.
And now the team realize that, and they're just going to stand and protect him. And one big thing is the fact that Fnatic don't really have a split push threat. You know, Ornn's not going to push down towers like a madman.
Well, look at to pin him in place here. Momus actually flashes him forward, throws the ultimate on himself, and Magic Felix just kiting away. You can see Chibs off to the side, looking for an opening. It's going to use the Call of the Forge God for them, but looks like M&M are just going to give up this Infernal Drake and actually look to try and get the inside track here onto the tower. Might be able to take this, but you can see Magic Felix has come over the wall.
They should get this, but Magic Felix might step up.
Monk
Taking
might
a
just
lot
get
of
pinned,
damage.
and actually Magic Felix might be the one getting caught out indeed. Chibs comes over, throws out the damage. It's not enough. Monk does single him out. Shogun now is going to be next to go down. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and Fnatic hot on the heels, hot on the chase. A Bubble, once again, is going to connect onto a minion, not a champion. M&M are able to get that kill into Magic Felix, but they lose Shogun for it.
Yeah, but crucially, Fnatic managed to get that second Infernal Dragon. They do drop a tower, keeping gold at about 4k difference.
Monk got that kill as well, so should
Yeah.
be closing in on that Hurricane now.
You still got to be concerned about the late game scaling because Ornn's going to start handing out items next level. You have that Vayne, you have double Infernals. Because the thing is, a Cogmore, he just rapidly autos and does so much damage, but the Vayne in just 2 or 3 can do enough to take out a Squishy. We do not have the Hurricane coming out from Monk,
So
so we will be pumping out a lot of AoE damage.
Shikari can hand a Cleaver, an Obsidian Cleaver, I believe it's called, and a Luden's Echo, the upgraded Luden's Echo.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't give anything to my Olaf for a long time.
Yeah, I
because
think it'd be the Ludens.
he's basically useless at this point. You can also upgrade the Blade of the Rune King.
Oh, you can now,
So
can't you?
you
That
could-
was one of the new
you
ones.
could give that to
yeah,
Vayne.
Ludens and Blade.
You could wait for her to say have an Infinity Edge if she's going to get one and give that over. You have a lot of options, but they might just go for the Blade earlier on. Or the Ludens. I mean, the Ludens is always a decent option.
Depends if he goes Death Cap, though. You'd rather have the Death Cap over the Ludens.
Yeah. So might hold on for a bit,
Death
but
Crown, actually. Rabadon's Death Crown.
still has to hit level 14 and start giving those juicy items out. You can upgrade Zhonya's as well, can't you?
No. I don't think you can. Unless that's another one I missed in the
I
changes.
thought you used to be able to. You definitely used to be able to.
Uh,
So you used to get. I remember you used to be able to.
yes,
It
you
wasn't
could
that good.
actually, I think.
So
Yeah,
I
I think you
guess
can.
you still can.
Yeah, I think they only added. I don't think they removed any.
Yeah. There's always redemption if Crossfire picks up one layer, but we're talking too much about what items they can upgrade.
It's always fascinating to see what gets upgraded first, what
Yeah.
they're going to
Well, I
go
would
for. You can't
prioritize
see the
the
gold
carries.
on your board right now. It's just a 1,000 lead for Monk. So nothing overly impactful. Maddie's doing a good job to stay equal with him, stay relevant in this game on his AD carry.
The issue is the overall gold in favor of Fnatic. Feels like a lot in favor of the Lissandra and the Olaf. But again, in the late game, they're not going to be quite as impactful. They find a sleepy trouble bubble onto Lissandra.
Oh, Magic Felix once again getting caught out. Baron spawning in 15 seconds, and this does mean for Fnatic, we'll have to get Magic Felix recalled up. Does have an Ocean Drake to give himself a little bit of regen, but not enough to really be impactful at the moment.
He's recalling. He could go
He's
for a
got
TP
teleport.
flank. Yeah, there's a ward behind.
Oh, baby, he's throwing it down. This is going to be the fight. The Call of the Forge God is on. Chips jumps back. Nolty's already chunked to Magic Felix. Is going to take him out. The claw forward. And Monk gets caught out. Glacial Fisher knocks the team up. It's a wipe for Fnatic. And X-Matty is looking for glory. Is looking for Mumus as he goes down. Fnatic once again get 4 members of M&M.
Absolutely clean. They call for the TP from Magic Felix. They jump on Monk after the flash and he gets shut down. And that is the thing, you cannot protect the Cogmore when people are coming at you from 3 different directions. They get the Baron once again, and Fnatic in control of this game.
Yeah, Chips did know they had low HP, but didn't want to risk it. Is just going to try and force that one last wave in. But this is double Baron now over to Fnatic. 2 in a row, 28 minutes on the clock as well, and Monk finally gets the QSS.
You've got to question the team decisioning from M&M. Like they should have cleared out the vision behind them, stopped the potential for a TP, and then they rushed forwards on their tanks, so they're never going to be able to push that far because there's such big brick walls. I think they should have taken the safe route down the river towards the Dragon. That's the sort of route where you wouldn't be flanked from 2 directions, because then bare minimum Fnatic would be coming through a tunnel in 1 direction. I just think it was a mistake through coordination of the team, and it led to them losing not only that team fight for that Baron, and now look at Matty. He's upgraded that Blade of the Rune King. He has a Phantom Dancer as well, which offers that shield now. He's in a really solid position to start carrying these team fights.
Yes, it's starting to look a little dire. Void Staff has now been finished on Chips, looking for the one-shot. But he's just not been able to find an opening. Fnatic are doing such a good job of keeping their front line in front of the Vayne, making it really hard for Chips to find that one-shot. This tower's going to go down. The Cloud Drake spawns in 15 seconds, but Fnatic aren't even interested in that objective. They just want to go for the tower. They want to go for the base here. Chips looking for some damage, but Magic Felix this time steps away. Bubble doesn't connect, but look at that damage from X-Matty.
It's very scary considering that's the first auto and he hasn't got his Ginsu stacked. If he starts to lay into any champion, it's going to be decimating.
Monk now joining up with the rest of the team. Not level 16 yet, although I'm going to offer too much in the sense of the ulti, but here comes the Call of the Forge Squad. Fnatic might just be looking to close out here. The knockup lands on and down goes Monk once again. Chips cannot find himself an opening. They're flashing in forward. A double kill over to Magic Felix. Chips is so low, forced to use the Zhonya's, and X-Matty will take him down on his own fountain. The turrets will be the focus here, and Fnatic absolutely crush M&M.
They get on top of Monk time and time again, and there's nothing he can do to defend himself. They crushed M&M in that game and got revenge for last week.
All right, they're flashing in. They're even going for the glory onto Nolty as he falls down. This is a delayed ace for Fnatic, and at 31 minutes, M&M full.
Just devastating from them. Fnatic shown they are not here to mess about. They crush M&M. They've crushed XL. They crushed, I believe it was Darkspawn in their first game, and they're now going to go up against Diabolus. Credit to them.
Yeah, fantastic game coming out of Fnatic there as they've now put themselves into the finals for the Tower Challenge. They're out of the finals. They're in the Tower Challenge now. They've got to take on Diabolus, who historically they've beaten every time. They haven't lost to Diabolus yet. And they lost to M&M last week. They got themselves the win. They've got them. Potentially, this could be their chance to get back on top of that tower and regain control of first place. We do have an MVP. Apparently, it's Shogun.
How could it be Shogun?
That's a Dan's picture with Shogun's name.
Shogun lost.
Fnatic Rising. I think we got the wrong one, mate.
Shogun lost.
I think it was meant to be for Dan, but I wanna get confirmation on that because we had the wrong name with the wrong picture. It was Dan. Okay, Dan from Fnatic Rising is the one who takes MVP.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, Shogun got it last game, and like he didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a good game.
I hit Shogun. I'm like, right. Did he help Fnatic that much? Did he end that hard?
He's the most valuable player on Fnatic Rising.
Pretty
for that
VM.
game.
But no,
to be honest, Monk got the QSS way too late. He got caught way too many times solo, and then he bought the QSS. And it didn't mean anything. They just jumped on him and one-shot him before he could even press QSS.
And I felt like a big testament to Magic Felix. I felt like every single team fight, that Glacial, that Claw was just coming out, And then it came through. He ulted Monk and Monk just died. Oh, there it is.
we are.
We got his name
Well
in the
done,
end.
Dan. You did a good job, dude. Your Olaf was enjoyable to watch.
Yep. Well, you know, what more can we say than that? Good, enjoyable League of Legends, all in good spirit.
Yeah, well, now we got to look at the next game, which will bring up the bracket so you guys can have a little understanding of where we're at the end of today's games, as Fnatic Rising did beat out XL, then M&M beat out Phelan. Fnatic in that final we've just watched stomped M&M, and now it's Fnatic Rising versus Diabolus in the Tower Challenge coming up soon. So, I said soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a tricky one because Diabolus looked really solid last we saw them, but Fnatic have been on a tear today.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping for some good League of Legends. But I know Yusa, because he's good friends with Matty, but seeing Matty pick Vayne 2 games in a row, I feel like that's a challenge almost, because Yusa was our first Vayne player.
Yeah, he was.
So I feel like he's been called out right now by Matty.
Well, Dan, I'm itching to see if it's going to come out. So we're going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back, it's going to be Fnatic Rising in the Tower Challenge, taking on the devil himself, Diabolus. welcome back to the UKLC as woo, had a bit of stereo stuff going on in my ears there. How you doing?
Yeah, it was a bit weird for me as well. I'm doing good. I'm hyped for this matchup. I feel like Eminem put up a good fight, but I was hoping for a bit more between that matchup. I think this one should be the one to deliver.
This is the one. This is the Tower Challenge as Diabolus will be starting up on that blue side, taking on Fnatic Rising, who have risen to the top once again to take on this challenge. I'm very excited for this.
Fnatic Rising, Risen?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
so
see?
smart.
That's
why
why
they named them.
That was, yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not me being smart. It's Fnatic being smart here.
Genius.
But you know, this is the first time that Diabolus have been able to put themselves on the top of the tower. Fnatic have 2 tower championship titles under their name.
Yep.
But if Diabolus can get themselves a win here, they secure themselves first spot coming out of week 5.
Yep.
And they remain as the only other team that has a 2-time tower champion.
Do you know who the other team is?
It's Fnatic Rising.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, I only just said that, didn't I?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, it's their chance to defend their title as the only team to defend if they win this one. But yeah, it should be a feisty one. It's tricky because we haven't seen any Diabolus, obviously, this week because they've been sitting at the top of the tower. We've seen a lot of Fnatic, but they've looked pretty clean throughout. So a lot of the times you could expect the team defending is going to sit and wait, right, this is what we're going to do, these are the weaknesses. I don't think Fnatic have shown a ton, apart from the fact that sometimes their game's a bit slow. They've kind of stuck to the same picks, and Dan sometimes doesn't impact things too much, but that's really if I'm picking and choosing.
And the question is Diabolus the team to punish them? You saw XL tried to punish Fnatic early in the second game of the day. Are Diabolus the team who's capable of carrying? Because, you know, we were talking just before the break started, like, what are our expectations for this game? I was kind of saying it's just going to be about X-Maddie and you, so the pair of them are just going to want to farm for ages and then try and carry individually.
Well, the thing is as well is that if Magifelix plays like Alessandro in the mid lane, Krogston will just play something like the Orianna. That's going to be a massive late game threat because I feel like in that last game, the Zoe wasn't able to find that much traction. Krogston won't pick something like that where he's just like, oh, I can poke a bit. He will pick something that can take over team fights, as he's shown he will do before. And that's sort of where my concern is with regards to Fnatic, because I feel like they've had this great strategy that's worked against everyone else, but Diabolus, they tend to do things a bit differently. They can definitely carry around mid. They've carried about top before and bot. So I feel like, especially when you haven't seen them for a whole week and they've been preparing, and I think they probably expected to meet Fnatic Rising here.
Yeah.
I think they will definitely have a strategy going into draft.
Do we expect maybe to see something different then coming out? Do we expect to see the Lissandra get banned away by Diabolus? Because so many teams have just let Fnatic pick it. Or do you think they'll just take it and try and first pick it themselves? Like, what is the question? Because, you know, Magifelix has been looking so good
I don't think
on this Lissandra. He's been such a big engage threat that, I mean, you have to ban it then, really.
The reason it's so good is because it's good against one threat. When your only main threat for a team fight is the Kog'Maw, when you're like, my team fight relies on there being a Kog'Maw winning the fight. Or in the situation it was with Phelan, it was sort of like the Vel'Koz needs to be untouched. Lissandra is great at that. But if you have like an Orianna and then you have an AD carry as well, it kind of splits things up and makes it difficult. And then you also have the extra damage impact for both. And then when they start getting defensives, Lissandra does sort of fall off a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's just pick something good into it, because you expect Magifelix to really consistently go for this pick. And we've seen before Krogston can take a carry into the Lissandra matchup and just scale up, because Lissandra isn't the greatest champion late game when people get defensive and stuff, and the damage does sort of fall off.
So that's what you're expecting coming into this?
I would hope.
Personally, I'd see it banned. I'd like to see what else Magifelix has in his wheelhouse. I believe we're still on the Sylas ban at the moment.
Yeah, it's still global banned.
Yeah, so it's Sylas isn't enabled, and that's a pick that we have seen both Fnatic run quite a lot. So it's obviously, maybe they're just kind of playing around the fact that Lissandra's open, and it feels, I want to say a similar purpose, but not quite the same purpose. I mean, obviously, depending on what he's playing into, but you know, you can be an effective front line on Sylas and on Lissandra. As we were into picks and bans.
So
your face did not agree with me on that point.
I think it's a bit of a stretch.
I went to say it and I was like, yeah, I mean, they're both engaged,
it's
right?
a bit of a stretch, but
they're both hard to kill. They're both very effective frontline mages.
You try and save this one, you're just digging yourself a hole.
Yeah,
so.
down I go.
All right. It's blue side for Diabolus and Fnatic Rising in the red,
Yes.
so you got to expect that Nico ban coming out from Fnatic Rising. It's been fairly standard. Zoe coming out from Diabolus, they don't want to see that in the hands of Magifelix. You could potentially see things like we saw that Olaf get banned away because they didn't want to see that come out from Dan. That's something that sort of had some traction in the game against XL, but not sure if they're going to go for a similar strategy here.
All right, well, there's the Nico ban by Fnatic. See what Diabolus are looking to ban away. As quick update, with that win Fnatic got over M&M, They have now put themselves into first place. They're no longer tied with Diabolus. So Diabolus need to win this if they want to remain in first place. So not only is it about holding your spot at the top of the tower, it's also about holding your spot at the top of the table.
Yeah, interesting that they're really focusing mid lane. They're going for this Ryze ban as well, which it's interesting to me because I know Kerberos and Krogson would both play Ryze, but what this implies to me is that Ryze is really good in the Vladimir, which I wouldn't see Shikari playing Ryze so much, but if Kerberos wants to go for that Vladimir pick, taking the Ryze off the table sets you in pretty good stead.
And we saw a lot of the Vlad from Curb last week as well.
These are really directed bans. I mean, the Aurelia we saw up against Chibs frequently, but these aren't, I mean, Zoe's quite common, but these are sort of like, we don't want Magifelix to have anything. And they've really come out, and to me, it just screams that, what would Magifelix play when all this is off the table? Well, he's been playing Lissandra so far. I mean, maybe this is just Diabolus' strategy. They ban away a lot of mids and then first pick Lissandra, but I mean, Krogson's been good when he's played Lissandra himself, but I don't feel like you have to go down that avenue. In return, Fnatic Ryzen are pretty heavily hitting the support pool. Yeah, so both teams coming in with a direct strategy. They're attacking certain roles, and I don't think we're going to see them last G. Definitely not. Absolutely not.
I know he's been playing it, but I
Only
never expect to see it. So for now, we're just going to see them.
Sense when that stuff is banned. And you still want to take something confident. We've seen XMighty rely on this Vayne to sort of scale up. Yusuf doesn't want to let that happen. But now goes over to Fnatic. And crucially, Galio, Lissandra, Jarvan, those are all available right now.
We've seen Fnatic ignore the Jarvan quite a lot recently.
Yeah, I think that they're not as comfortable with the top lane. There's more answers into it, so they're not wanting to flex it. You can definitely take Lissandra here, though. Galio's a good option with Braum and Thresh off the table. I mean, it's a good option regardless. But they are just going to go for the Lissandra Olaf. So going with what they know, Dan has consistently wanted this Olaf pick, and once again picked it up.
I'd really like to see like an Orianna Galio here for Diabolus as their pick. Give
I
himself.
like the look of this hover, to be honest. I know it's just a hover.
It's good into Olaf again.
It counteracts that engage, and that you run in, and it can really stop them from finding the kills. And you kind of run out of damage if you have Lissandra Olaf. But they're not opting that. They're going for this Yorick. So it is going to be a blind Yorick.
Yeah.
So it does mean that Shikari has an opportunity to answer it on this third pick or in the next stage of the draft.
Well, question is what Diabolus going to be picking up now in this next pick before we head into ban phase 2. There's a lot of things on the cards. That Galio's open. It's going to get locked in.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Especially with Braum Thresh off the tables.
Yeah. The question is what do Fnatic ban now? Do they look to just try and take away anything that can deal with Magifelix on this Lissandra in the next ban phase? Or do they look to try and target something else out?
I mean, you can look at junglers as well. If there's anything you really don't want to face as Dan, if that Kindred you think might be an issue later on. The question is what they're going to pick here. And it looks like Shikari going to go towards that Gnar, which he's more comfortable in a matchup against the Yorick with something like a Gnar compared to something like we saw, I believe it was, I can't remember who it was, played Ornn into the Yorick, sorry, and he's just not going to win that matchup. Like, sure, you can try and survive it, but with Shikari and the Gnar, it's something he's very comfortable on. He can handle the 1v1 okay. Sure, Yorick is still going to be a bit of a menace in the side lane, but I think Shikari will be fine. And now bans come in, they saw that Kindred, they're taking it off the table straight away. Now goes over to Diabolus. None of the bot lane picked Fnatic Ryzen. You know, if you're concerned about that Vayne, now is the time to target it. If you're concerned about Prosphere maybe getting his hands on other things, you can target that as well. They are going to take out the Vayne. A lot of options. You know what I would personally like to see?
What would you like to see?
Actually, no, I don't think I would. But I'd say you could take something like the Rakan, because you already have so much engage.
Yeah.
And then you have the potential to have the Xayah as a follow-up. It's still a pretty strong 2v2. And Rakan, although it did get some nerfs, is still in a decent position.
And Rakan can struggle into the Galio, because he jumps in and just gets taunted.
So maybe my pants...
Your pants?
Pants? My comments? I don't know how I got to there.
Yeah.
Plans, completely muted, but at the same time, I think the lane's still playable into Galio. You just can't go in.
Yeah.
So just don't go in.
You just do half of what Rakan does.
Maybe I'm just thinking too far ahead. Maybe this would be a really int to go the Xayah Rakan, but either way, we still have the bot lane to pick up
Mystique's do it, and Turbo int was the,
yeah, that was
I think was the word thrown around.
Now goes over to Matty's pick, which, I mean, you could go for support or AD carry here. I feel like I would lean towards support since you sort of know what the bot lane composition is, and then you can have an AD carry who, because you might need a lot of safety up against what Diabolus pick in their mid and jungle. And they are going to go for that Alistar, which offers a lot of engage as well. So similar to the Rakan, is probably in a better state right now. But actually, no, they
switch out for the
Triss.
Triss.
They go for the Triss. So
that's why we don't talk about hovers, dude. They switch it out. Triss is something that we've seen XMighty play in the past.
Yeah.
We've seen him play it a little bit within this tournament as well. Yeah, I'm curious to see how he's going to perform on that. It does mean he does want a bit of time to get some scaling going for him, but now looking towards what Diabolus want to put in their jungle and in their mid lane. That Orianna was open, which you were saying was actually fairly good.
Orianna used to just take.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say that's what they should take. The Tristana is pretty good against the Galio Jarvan because you can jump out the thing. But if the shockwave's there as well, it's pretty promising. Personally, that's what I would pick about.
You said Jarvan, not Yasuo. Okay, cool. You caught me up with the Yasuo. I was like, where are you going with this?
Jarvan. I'm losing my train of thought. It's been a long day.
I know you've done.
The Sejuani mid caught me off guard.
That's at the beginning of the day, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, this is another good pick in Lissandra. There's a lot of sustained damage from this Cassiopeia. So when we're talking about the late game threats, that is a Cassiopeia, right? That absolutely has a late game threat. You have that Yorick as well, which is a menace in the side lane, and it means that Fnatic Rising, they might feel things in a bit of a timer because their front line is going to get shredded pretty quickly if it gets later on and this Cassiopeia is putting out those Twin Fangs.
All right, well, Fnatic looking to lock in their last champion. You didn't get fully trolled. They actually do end up locking in the Alistar, just
I don't know why they
a little bit later at time.
You know,
I think they wanted time to think and figure out what the rest of Diabolus' roster was before they committed fully to the Alistar. I do want to have a look at what with the team comps are here, because I'm a little confused on what Diabolus' game plan is. Obviously, you've got Curb as a split push threat. You've got an effective team fight with the Galio and Jarvan, and then you can obviously have a lot of follow-up damage with the Lucian and Cassiopeia. But where are they really aiming for here? Is it just going to be a 1-3-1, or are they actually going to look for Death Bowl and just Curb doing Curb things?
It's 4-1 more. You want 4 members together than the 1. It's hard to engage on that composition because when you go in, you're risking getting taunted. There's a Cataclysm, there's the Miasma and the Petrifying Gaze. There's a lot you have to deal with to engage on that, but also the late game is pretty stellar. Lucian isn't the greatest late game carry, especially compared to Tristana, but backed up by Cassiopeia, they're going to pump out so much damage. And on the other side, it's the same again for Fnatic. They want to play this composition that excels in the mid game. They just want to find the right target and just cut them down. But I think in this game, more than the other ones we've seen, there is something on the side of Diabolus that can answer that.
All right, well, looking at predictions, looking at the champ select and what's been picked in here, the rosters for the teams, what are you expecting? Who are you pegging to win this game?
You know, I'm gonna go for a curveball. I'm gonna say Diabolus here because I think
I've gone curveballs all day and they haven't worked for me at all.
Yeah. I think they've got more tools at their disposal to sort of handle things. I don't think it's gonna be clean, but I think that favors them because if things get a bit messy and go later on, then that Cassiopeia is just gonna get stronger and stronger and stronger. And we've seen Krogston be a monster on these mages, so I think they have a good shot.
Alrighty, well, we'll be asking you guys fairly soon for your predictions as well over on Twitch to let us know who you think's going to take this win. So when that vote goes live, I'll let you know and you can let us know. So Scoundrel's going Fnatic. You've gone for Diabolus.
Yep.
I guess I'm the tiebreaker here.
Well, what are you choosing?
I'm gonna go Diabolus. You know, I've been throwing curveballs all day. It's not that I'm against Fnatic, by the way. I've voted constantly against them all day, but actually, I'm gonna go for Diabolus. So, I mean, one of us is gonna be right.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 of us.
I mean, could be. That would be the beneficial situation for us if both of us are correct.
Yeah.
So let's hope for that.
Because then we can call it Scoundrel, who's left early, and be like, hey, mate, you were wrong.
Yeah, or we could just lie to him and just not tell him.
yeah, and they'll come in tomorrow, come in next week, and then see the the T-shirt.
We'll just hide it. We'll just, you know, we'll sort something out.
Yeah, he doesn't have to know.
He doesn't have to know.
Well,
but you guys will know if you keep watching, because we will be getting into game shortly.
Oh boy,
long day.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great start to the day. The Fnatic XL game was really, really fun. But let's have a little look at our rosters. Kerberos, Monkeys, Krogston, Yusa, and Hado for Diabolus. They'll be starting up on that blue side. And for Fnatic, Rising is Shikari, Dan, Felix, X, Matty, and Prosper.
Yeah, you may have been mistaken before. It is not Shogun who is the jungler for Fnatic. It's Dan. We will be flying onto the Rift.
Yeah, we're flying onto the Rift for our 4th and final game here of Week 5 of the UK League Championship. This is the Tower Challenge. This is what it is all about. Can Fnatic regain control of that spot at the top of the tower? Or will Diabolus remain in command and remain at the top of the leaderboard if they can find this win?
Yeah, absolutely. So, big things to look for. I want to see Yusa and Hado get pressure early in the bot lane. They have the stronger level 1. Alistar doesn't really offer much pressure early, and Trist is a bit weak at that point. And then I want to see the matchup between Dan and Monk is a big one for me. Both of them have junglers that have the potential to make things happen early. The Jarvan obviously has good gank with that knock-up. But the issue is, if you overcommit and you get counter-ganked by that Olaf, there's no way of getting out again.
Yeah.
I like
that's my input to that, by the way.
Well, it's better than a no, so I'll take it.
Well, I've kind of, you know, I understand that you're normally the one who's right on these points, not me. You know,
I like that you now know your place.
I understand. All right, well, pretty standard start here. You can see Dan is soloing out his blue buff. One of the bonuses of Olaf is pretty... He kind of wants to go a little low on his early players.
But this is a good move because it means Matty and Prospect gets the lane first, so it kind of negates their really weak level 1 a little bit. Because, like I said, Tristana and Alistair really suck level 1. So the fact that they've kind of missed out the opportunity to get zoned away puts them in a pretty good position.
Yeah, well, Hado is stepping forward now, looking to do a bit of zoning. Monkus is beelined for the blue buff. Not going to pick any camps up en route while Dan is going for maybe the Predator start, but like you said, like yesterday, not really in his style. He normally just goes for the most efficient clear.
This is really good for Matty and Prospect, the fact that they're just getting all these minions, because really, Yus and Hado, if they'd been in lane on time, they should have just been able to push them out and zone them from a lot of CS. And Fox is actually doing really heavy trades on a Magifelix. I've got to say that favors the Cassiopeia, who has some built-in sustain, and also still has 1 stack on the Corrupting Potion. So that level 2 power spike coming in pretty big.
Pretty standard start as well. Cassiopeia is pretty... She's very potent in like the early few levels, and then as she scales, kind of has a very good power curve.
Yeah, I think the ult's quite hard to land is one of the disadvantages.
I'd hope someone like Krogson is not bad at it though.
Well, I mean, the burden is sort of on the person who's reacting to it. Cause,
yeah.
You know, if you're against Faker, you're not landing a Cassiopeia ult.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that the sort of ease of execution, the strength of level 6 is where Lissandra sort of takes over. But later on, that sustained damage from the Cassiopeia is just going to come in huge. Oh, Cannon just got missed there by the Fnatic bot lane. And actually, this is one of the big disadvantages with the Tristana, is she is so bad at CSing on a tower. Like, arguably the worst. And you can see the health of all these minions just be messed up.
Oh, it's the E, man. It's so rough.
And I mean, that's the issue. You pick Alistair Trist, and you're going to get shoved in early. And you're going to suffer a bit in terms of CS. So only 5 behind, and like I said, not having to unleash for Dan definitely paid some dividends towards a lane.
I want to talk a little bit about this top lane. Kerberos versus Shikari. We know Kerb is such a potent split pusher, and it's nice to see him kind of return to this style that we've known him for. How does this lane go? What do we expect into the Gnar?
I think it's very hard to pressure the Gnar early, because he can just leap out the cage, and he just outranges you.
Predator's on. Krogson does have Flash and Cleanse. Forced to use one of those, and now he's actually just going for a little bit of poke onto Dan.
Yeah, lost the Flash, does the Cleanse, so not too bad of a situation, but not the greatest either. And crucially, when Magifelix has 6, will be without that Flash. And going back to the top lane matchup, I think as a Yorick, you just farm up on a tower in the early levels, and you wait for 6. When you're at level 6, the Gnar can't really ever get too close to you, because you can put so much damage into him with the Maiden. But until you have that Maiden, you're essentially just a farm. You're just a minion farm in a wave.
Just a minion with a shovel.
Yeah. Just digging some graves.
That's what he does. All right. Krogson, after having his Flash forced, has made his way back into lane. In order to equalize out that CS score, picks himself a Dark Seal and a Sapphire Crystal as Shikari. Going to get caught out by the cage, but this is one of the powers of the Gnar, can just hop, skip, and jump out.
Unfortunately, Monk is a bit late. I would say it's more Kerberos going early in, so Shikari had already backed off. I mean, that river was water. They weren't going to find anything anyway, but either way, it's one of the powers of this Gnar. It's so easy to stay safe with that jump and still just harass your opponent. But again, Kerberos closed on that level 6 when he actually has an opportunity to really fight back.
You can see there's a gold advantage for Fnatic. It's only 200 at the moment, make it 100. It ticks over. So they are getting a slight advantage from their lanes. But it's nothing really to speak of so far. But Krogson maybe they're going to get caught out. Level 6 did just get hit by Magifelix, so...
Yeah, they want to apply the pressure here. It's hard when she's on the tower with that cleanse. But without the Flash, if you step forwards to Krogson, you're very liable to go down.
pretty rough. See, Kerberos now might be on the returning of a gank. This is exactly what we've seen from Fnatic in the last game, exactly what we've seen from Fnatic so many times, and that ward that Curb has is so big for him. He doesn't have 6, and this time he might just be getting caught out. Looking to turn it onto Shikari, the flash comes in, the Glacial Prison is available, Curb flashes away, Magic Phoenix is taking so much damage, ults himself and gets away. First blood to Shikari.
Big brain play for Magic Felix, saves the ult to keep himself alive. Looked a bit botched, but there wasn't really anything Kerberos could do there. In return, Diabolus get that Ocean Drake, but I think that's a trade Fnatic are happy to take, and have now pushed that gold lead to just under 1,000.
Held that Glacial Tomb for so long as well.
I mean, no reason not to. You can just reset the aggro with it. To use it on Kerberos might have been a bit dicey, but saving it for yourself means there's no real risk with the dive.
And that's the difference, is some players maybe just used it on Curb, looked for the hard lockdown, but by holding it, he forced out Curb's flash and then still got the kill. So,
yep. And it's just very low risk because you reset the aggro. There's no way the tower's really going to kill anyone. And the thing is, Kerberos has no CC, like hard CC, that he's going to be able to use to stop you from casting your Glacial to him. So, very comfortable to go for that play.
He's picked himself up a Sheen now as the Phage has been finished on Shikari. Monk is just clearing out wards while Prosphere also clearing out some wards. Curb making his way back towards that top lane now, down in CS to Shikari, who's been able to get himself a pretty big gold lead now with a CS advantage and that first blood in his pocket.
And crucially, because he used the Maiden before he died, he now no longer has that for quite a significant amount of time, which means he doesn't really be able to do much against Shikari again. Like, having the Maiden as Yorick basically makes the champion. Without it, you essentially just have the bane of your lane opponent.
Well, gonna catch this wave as it crashes into his tower. The plate will actually fall here, so Shikari won't get the local gold, but Monkeys gets spotted out by that Squires by Shikari, but Croxon's still gonna be able to get his blue buff. Uncontested for the moment. He's still sitting on that Sapphire Crystal, so curious to see what he's going to be building here. Is it going to be into the Archangels or maybe the Ludens? I assume it's probably the Archangels.
Yeah, I understand the Luden's build path because it gives you a lot more power early, but I would really like the shield from the Archangels, particularly into a composition like Fnatic, so both make sense to me. It just depends what they want to offer. And Magic Felix potentially looking aggressive, but Monkeys are waiting in the wings, and I think Dan has just seen him now.
Yeah, they know he's there, but Magic Felix actually looking to pull this trigger. The Claw comes out, the Predator's on. Spins him in place. That cleanse is not going to be used in time. As in goes the dunk by Monkeys. He's caught in, and the Frozen Thrall not going to find his mark. Monkeys will be able to get a kill now, but Dan picks up the axe, lobs it into Monkeys' head. It's just going to be a 1-for-1.
Held the ult for so long. Krogson used the cleanse very early, and the ult actually caught him at the end. But the problem was, Magic Felix used all of his mobility to get in there. And yes, he got the kill into Krogson, but wasn't left with any route out. However, this does mean that blue buff is down from the Cassiopeia, who is going towards that Seraphs, which I think is a safe option.
It's a 9-minute tier as well for Krogson, which means, I mean, Cassiopeia is pretty good at stacking the tier because of her E, but it's still a fairly slow tier.
Yeah.
Gonna take a while for that to actually stack up, and that shield that you said is really nice. It's not gonna be there for a little bit longer as Curb still got his Maiden available, but not using it. Probably looking just to get himself a nice base off.
Wow, nice prediction. But he actually cancelled it, so you're wrong.
Oh. I think he's worried about what Shikari can do.
Yeah,
to
I think he's at a point where he can't really apply pressure, and if your Maiden's just there, it's just going to take damage from Shikari and essentially be useless. But Krogson walking up pretty aggressive here.
Has got Haddo and Monkeys waiting around. That flash is now back up, but the cleanse was used crucially in that last engagement in the mid lane.
You see a little bit of a battle for vision.
Krogson.
Okay. I like that there's quite a lot of focus around this Rift Herald from Diabolus. You can see those 3 pink wards, but it's more of an even spread for Fnatic, and that's going to play pretty well into this Dragon, but you can see that's why Diabolus were pushing up there. Infernal Dragon in a minute. I feel like both teams might want to contest this, but I've got to favor Fnatic for the second Dragon of the game. Their composition's just going to do so much better right now, especially Magic Felix on this Lissandra.
Krogson once again knows that Dan is waiting around. Poor old Krogson, but Dan definitely being more proactive. One of the criticisms we had about him in earlier weeks and coming into this week as well is that he kind of just AFK farms all game. This time, that's not the case. He's being a lot more proactive. He's really done a good job to get Magic Felix comfortable in this lane. And now looks to find out Krogston once again. Shikari finds himself the kill. And this will be a Rift Herald for Fnatic.
So I don't even really know how Krogston got there or why he was there, but
He even flashed.
yeah, that was a really bad position to be in. And it's essentially giving over this objective for free. And now Diabolus aren't even going to be able to take the dragon in return. So good moves from Fnatic to punish him, but you got to question what Krogston was doing there.
Teleport's coming in. Fnatic might just be on the receiving end of a little
I
bit
think
of
they're going
trouble.
for the
It's
dragon
Curb. Going for the dragon.
They decided to go for this aggressive play, and it means that Fnatic can get potentially that tower top. They are heading up there. So they trade first tower, but they will get this Infernal Dragon.
To be fair, I think it was probably going to go down either way. Dan had that Rift Herald.
Yeah.
Curb had no way to interrupt it, so I think it's actually not a terrible call here by Diabolus to go for this. But now you can see Curb's been forced to base. Tower pressure will start to get asserted by Diabolus in the bot lane.
Gold.
Shikari starting a snowball.
Yeah, absolutely. Already got that bounty. And Houston had it trying to put pressure bot lane, but CS very even in the bot lane, and it feels like there hasn't been too much pressure there. It's really been about this top side for Fnatic, and they actually managed to get a second tower of their Rift Herald, which I don't think Diabolus calculated that when they went for that play.
All right, well, Monk is going for an invade. Krogston helping him. Going to pick up that blue buff. Has been spotted out on a ward here by Xmaddy and Prosper. See if they're going to try and take it away. Might actually get it. No, he won't.
Close. But no cigar. He doesn't manage to pick up that blue buff, and Krogston will take it away, but it's still a small consolation prize when Fnatic were able to get 2 turrets on that top side.
Cleaver, Ninja Tabby's longsword, picked up by Shikari into the Stinger and the Sheen of Curb.
That's got a sting.
It's not the way I think Kerberos wanted it to sting, though.
No, I think it's stinging for Shikari having the item advantage. And now, because that top lane's been shoved in so far, he's going to be able to shove the lane in, no towers to stop him from doing that, and then he can roam wherever he wants. So, kind of frees up Shikari on that map, who also has that TP available while Kerberos does not.
All right, Krogston's getting all the blue buffs right now.
Yummy.
I don't think a blue buff is yummy. It's like stone.
It's going to be a good feeling when you get it, though.
Yeah, I wonder, is it like just having a really good, like, drink on a hot day? Is it, like, refreshing?
Maybe. You just feel full of energy. You got to, you know. Who really knows? Krogston actually managed to find a CS advantage over Magic Felix. I think a big part in the fact that Magic Felix has been very roam-focused.
Yeah.
Just get a quick look at the vision there, and both teams not pushing too much past the river. Apart from on that top lane, obviously, where Shikari, having taken down those 2 towers, can go where he pleases.
I think this is one of the things we've seen from Magic Felix is no one else in the UKC in mid lane wise has been quite as potent on the map and effective with these constant like rotations, and he sets up so well for the team. The synergy of the Fnatic Rising squad has been really, really clean. It's actually been something that's been improving across the weeks. They've been getting better and better at playing around their players. There were questions about Magic Felix coming into the split when we first saw that he was on the Fnatic roster, because a lot of people know him as a player who typically doesn't have the best showings, but Krogston here might just be getting caught out. In comes Haddo. They're looking to dunk him down, though. Monkeys forced the ulti out of Magic Felix for the moment. Now throws in the Glacial Fissure, but he's caught in with 2 members, and he is just going to go down. Dan finds himself yet another kill. 2 members of Diabolus are going to fall down.
Yeah, and Krogston just over-aggressive. He wins the 1v1 against Magic Felix, but crucially, Magic Felix is the one with the support, and he goes down, and in the end, baits Monkeys in too, so quite a big overstep from the Cassiopeia there.
Curb has no ulti, so this tower is just going to melt. And Yusa just pretty quiet game. He's picked this Lucian for the lane pressure and just hasn't had any lane pressure. He's got himself a 4 CS lead, which Xmaddy's going to be able to catch up on in no time. Xmaddy now building towards that Infinity Edge. Should be closing in on the item as well.
Yeah, and it feels like the top side of the map has just really been falling apart a bit for the side of Diabolus. Losing those 2 towers top, that tower mid as well. Krogston 0-3, and yes, Cassiopeia scales well, but you have to get to the late game.
Well, Pickaxe Zeal and BF Sword, 4x Maddie. He's going for the thrift shot build. That's a bit of everything. And Magic Felix, not going to take that claw.
Yeah, I would be questioning his decision making if he did.
And he's not been making bad decision making at all, really.
Yeah, it's been pretty solid. And that's one of the things with the claws. You can throw it out. You don't have to follow it. But it does obviously
No, it's like
threaten
a
the
Lee
other
Sin
side.
Q. You throw it out. If it hits someone, you have to go.
True. You're correct. And we do see the Triforce picked up by Kerberos there. Eventually.
Eventually.
They're still a long way from being the sort of dominant Yorick split push that he'd hoped to be.
Well, game's definitely taking a little bit of a slower pace here. We're approaching that 17-minute mark. Fnatic have got themselves a 4K gold lead. Make it 5K gold lead over Diabolus. Diabolus kind of scratching their heads. A lot of teams today we've seen it felt kind of lost versus Fnatic. They don't seem to know what plays they can make, as Shikari's actually going 1v1 with Monkeys here. Even with Hado and Yusa by, he's feeling confident, and actually, as he goes into mini, not going to chase up anymore.
But he just slows them down, and they were trying to trade a tower 1-for-1, but now you're in a position where I think Fnatic are going to be able to get a second one.
Actually, Prospect flashes in, headbutt pulverizes on Curb. It's getting melted. Trying to get that damage off. Not going to be able to follow up for the kill, though. The turret should be the sacrifice here. Fnatic, they are pleased.
That ping forward was just pinged. There is TP on Curb. I think they might be looking for a deep flank, but it might be a bit risky. I think it might be a bit too slow.
I mean, Hado does have ultimate, so does Monkeys. They could go for the Demacian Death Bowl, but they're not going to do it.
They stopped. The ping came out. It was a bit overzealous. Actually, no, they're pinging the bush they're in. They still want to chase them, but I think Fnatic are respecting it.
Yeah, Fnatic actually maybe looking to catch Hado out. It's been seen on this pink ward, but he's currently clearing. Monkeys waiting about as well. Hado, baited breath here. In comes the team. The headbutt pulve was on. The taunt is going to go down. Ragnarok is on. Teleport's coming through, and Fnatic find themselves a kill as Magic Felix is now looking for Yusa here. Curve is going to get caught out, and Prospect takes him down. 2 quick kills for Fnatic, and now they can go back for Drake.
Yeah, well, unfortunate situation where you can't cancel that TP because I don't think Kairos wanted to be in there after Hado went down. A good move from Fnatic just to bait out Diabolus, who are looking for that dragon.
Yep, going to be able to take this dragon nice and comfortably here.
Gold lead heavily in their favor. Almost at 7,000 to 80 minutes. Really in Fnatic's bag.
I mean, it's looking like Fnatic, you know, last week was a bit of an upset. I think Fnatic, they tactically decided they wanted to shake up standings, and then they could have this miracle comeback.
Yeah, make
You
it
know,
interesting.
you don't want to win every week, so they're kind of, you know, playing with their food.
I don't know, winning every week's pretty cool.
Yeah. But for a viewer, it's not as interesting.
I think they had some issues with their play, and they've really started to rectify them because they seem a very clean and coordinated team.
I said it yesterday, you win more from your losses than you do from your wins, and
You mean you learn more?
what did I say?
You said you win more from your losses.
You do, because you learn, and then that then translates into winning. You see?
Not necessarily. There's a lot of teams who just lose.
Yeah. I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, well, let's move on. We do see the Frozen Mallet coming out from Shikari, and that is not fun to play against, not Frozen Mallet, because you can just run you down.
Yeah.
Things aren't looking great for the Diabolus side. We still have that Cassiopeia, who's going to be problematic later on. Has that Seraphs going towards the Leandries. But right now, it's really Fnatic's game to control.
It's always quite funny watching Galio execute a minion with his Colossal Smash. Minion just goes flat. Like,
Feels bad for it.
I mean, they're animated bits of cloth, it's fine.
Wow. Poor minions. Not even respected by you.
I don't know what happens to their weapons. They just disappear.
Yeah, you would think there'd be so much clutter on a Summoner's Rift after a game, just with all the minions dying and stuff.
Yeah, well, imagine if like all the minions did just always stay there.
Yeah.
How messy. Your frame rate would get progressively worse.
Yeah, and if when champions died, their bodies stayed there as well.
It was just permadeath.
Well, you know. I guess this game would already be over then.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Yusa would still be alive.
Yeah, Yusa's holding out fast for the moment. Anyway, 20 minutes on the clock here. Fnatic having this Baron dance, and Diabolus just really don't have an answer currently. Rapid Fire Cannon and Infinity Edge onto Xmatty as it's the components of the cleaver for Yusa. He's got his blade as well.
And this Lucian that we saw picked with such confidence just really hasn't found its footing. It has hit that 2-item spike, so pretty strong right now, but 0-0-0 hasn't really impacted this game.
Okay, well, they're not actually looking to go for the Baron right now. They're going for the 1-4 here from Fnatic. You can see in the bot lane, Shikari pushing out this turret. Curb is struggling to deal with him. It's the Frozen Mallet and Black Cleaver onto the Gnar. Just infinite kiting and fighting available to him. But now Fnatic are turning their attention towards this Baron buff. Just clearing out their vision. They're going in and out, making sure they constantly have control of that objective. And you can see the Hex Flash by Prosper goes in towards his team. Doesn't want to go in towards the enemy team right now.
Yeah, they're just baiting around the Baron, trying to get vision control. Hopefully get someone with Dabless to step up, but they're fine with the game going a bit slower now. There's not as much of a reliance on closing things out fast as we've seen in some other games. Yes, the Cassiopeia is going to be strong later on, but with a 6k gold lead, Fnatic have a lot of time.
Yeah, you can see now Monkeys and Dabless just trying to get a bit of control around this vision, but Fnatic constantly waiting in the ring. They are itching for a pick. They are itching for a fight, but Dabless are playing with bated breath. Now, Dan stepping away, just trying not to be caught, has got that axe available. They don't know for certain where Krogson is, but he throws it out, interrupts, and the flash is in! That was blind, and Krogson forces the cleanse out. Petrifying Gaze is on, and it only stuns up one as the Ragnarok is here. In comes the shield, Xmatty jumps into the fight. Great ultimate by Magic Felix to catch him out. Nobody has died yet, as Prosper gets himself a headbutt, gets himself a pulverize. The resets are on, and Xmatty has unleashed a double kill for Fnatic.
Yeah, just great confidence from the side of Dabless. From Fnatic, and they find Krogson sleeping in the bush, and now they're going to look to take that Baron.
That was blind, by the way.
I guess
so much confidence. I mean, you get the vision from the Q, but like...
Yeah, I guess they knew he hadn't left the brush. I guess they just guessed he hadn't left the brush. It must have been a lot of confidence from them.
All right, well, this is going to be Baron at 23 minutes over to Fnatic. 3.5 minutes to work with that as Curb finally gets himself a tower. Let's have a little look at that fight once again.
So they see them go in, and I think they still have vision when he starts to recall. Yeah, that's it. He still has vision when he starts to recall, and he knows he hasn't left the brush, so... He gets good timing with it, though. But just Krogson, there's no reason to recall there. No reason at all.
The Petrifying Gaze would have been good if Ragnarok isn't an ability.
Yeah. He survives for a long time, but Mighty now jumps in, and then it just resets City. Bit of a fail flash from Mighty, but it doesn't really even matter. Rapid Fire coming in clutch there.
Yeah, 2 quick kills over to Xmatty. Feeling pretty comfortable. As back on to the Rift, back into live. Fnatic.
In a powerful position. Their front line is really tanky. Good damage items coming out from Xmatty. It's not looking great for the Dabless side.
It was nice of Curb Ross to welcome us back there. Welcome back.
Appreciate it. When's he going to come back in this game?
At this rate, never.
Yeah.
Shikari is just able to zone him. 2-level advantage. The Cleaver Mallet is just such a potent combo.
Yeah.
Now he's building towards his Stone Plate. It's going to get even rougher for him as Fnatic has started out the 1-3-1. Clearing out every jungle camp, clearing out any available extra gold that Dabless would want to be getting their hands on, and they're just comfortably pushing up the lanes. You see, Xmatty has got a big wave to work with here in this lane, and now Dabless, what do? They need to force something. They need to try and get a pick, but it's so hard to find a pick onto these Fnatic members. They're also mobile. They're also slippery.
I mean, they can still buy time. There's a minute 30 on the Baron buff. If they hold the base, they're going to be in a decent position.
Are they? I mean,
better than if they lose the
position,
base. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, once the Baron's off the table, it's quite hard for Fnatic just to force on a tower, especially when you look at the likes of, you know, the Cassiopeia and the Galio. Diving them can be a bit dicey. Fnatic want to crack the base on this push, so if Dabless can hold out, it'll be all right, but right now...
Hodgson's been sent to deal with Shikari. 1-3-1 is on, and Curb they're going to find something onto Magic Felix. Gets rooted up by the W.
Yeah, so we will see. There's still that 1-3-1 coming out, well, 3-1-1, but They haven't quite found the damage in the tower, but X might actually get chunked out pretty heavily by Yusuf. Finally, some confidence from this Lucian.
Yeah, he does a lot of damage, but not enough to kill him. There's too many members around, and Yusuf can't commit.
But crucially, that'll force him back. And Baron buff is coming to the end, so Diabolus, yes, they're 9k gold behind. Yes, things are looking dire, but their base hasn't been broken yet.
Yeah. They do hold out. 30 seconds left on that Baron buff, so Fnatic just going to step away now. Curious to see what they're going to go base and buy now with the last of this Baron.
It's a long time before the next Baron. Elder's off the table for another 9 minutes. Diabolus have found an opportunity to keep stalling out because they have saved their base, and if you can defend against a Baron, you should by all means be able to defend when the other team doesn't have Baron.
Yeah.
And now they're just playing catch-up because, yes, that is a big gold lead, but the longer the game goes on, the less significant it will be.
But the longer it goes on, what is Diabolus' late game looking like? I mean, Cassiopeia is very good in the late game. How is Yusuf going to fare on the Lucian?
I mean, Lucian's all right in the late game, does struggle in terms of range against the Tristana, and I'm never ever going to sit here and suggest that he's as good as the Tristana late game. But Cassiopeia can be a complete powerhouse, so I think that late game, it's definitely not going to look as bad as their alien mid. I think you could even argue that maybe it favors them, because Olaf does fall off. Gnar can be pretty big in team fights compared to the Yorick, but in the split push, I don't think he's ever really going to lose out at this point, but maybe when there's like a 6 item point. And Lissandra, when there's defensives built on the side of Diabolus, won't be as threatening. So I think late game Diabolus have a decent chance for this one, but the thing is, Dragon in a minute, Baron in a minute 45. If they give up another Baron, I'm not optimistic about their chances to survive in the siege again.
I want to double check it, but I believe it's an Infernal Drake as well here for Diabolus. Oh, well, sorry, for whoever can get it. That'd be double Infernal for Fnatic.
No,
that'd be the first Infernal for Fnatic.
Yeah, just help to equalizing
out that. But if
nice
Diabolus can get the double Infernal, that's really nice for them. As you see, Magic Felix throws out the claw, doesn't follow it up for the moment. Croxton definitely playing with fire a little bit here.
And he's been sort of the weak point of Diabolus is that they constantly punished him when he's overstepped, and got to see him have a bit more care in his footing because he needs to be the carry when he gets later in this game. He needs to pump out the damage in this Cassiopeia.
Yeah, now he's got that Crystal Scepter. Does have a fair amount of utility. Sticking power is there as well. We'll be able to work through these tanks with that Liandry, so definitely still in Croxton's hands and capability to be able to get himself a good fight. The cleanse, the flash is up. Every summoner spell in the game is available right now.
They just need more time, and it is going to be an Infernal, so that's a really good one for Fnatic to pick up. I don't feel like it can be contested, but Diabolus are trying to make a play on Shikari.
The Demacian Death Bowls on Shikari goes golden for the moment. He does have no flash available, and he gets taken down. Kerberos gets himself the shutdown. And this could just mean a potential Baron dance over to Diabolus as you've got 45 seconds until Shikari is back up.
I don't think you can force it. There's 20 seconds for the Baron, and by that time, Fnatic can stall long enough for Shikari to be up, so I think they just recall and try and defend the base. But actually, Yusa and Hado are still at Baron.
I go for the 2-man. I mean, you got a very fast Baron. You got Cassiopeia, Lucian. You will rip through that. All right, 22 seconds, and that is going to be Diabolus instantly starting it up. Prosphere in the lane, in place to try and contest for the moment. Dan, no blast cone available. Does have that flash if he wants to make a miracle happen. Prosphere is trying to run interrupt for the moment. It might actually just be the back door. Teleports in, and in comes the fight. They're going to try and continue to go on. Curve is onto the Baron, and Dan is not going to be able to take it away. Baron's been picked up by Diabolus, but they've managed to get himself a kill already onto Hado. X-Matic gets forced out by Curve. The Maiden is ripping through him for the moment, and Fnatic a spread, but the same is said for Diabolus. Shikari is into the fight, and Croxton needs to somehow kite away from all of these members. Prospect gets him with a headbutt pulverize. You see a shutdown for Kerberos as well there. Almost turns it. Oh, look at Prospect. He's burning out to the minions. Not going to die. Yes, he stays alive, and the level up comes through. Fnatic are able to get themselves 3 kills, but they lose Baron.
I mean, you called it. They make the miracle play. It looked a bit dicey, but Kerberos cleaned up that team fight, managed to kill both Dan and Mighty, and got huge shutdowns there. So Diabolus definitely back in the game. They got that Baron, and they closed the goal lead to a degree.
BF Sword, Chain Vest, Raptor Cloak on that base after that fight.
Yeah, saving up for that GA, but crucially the Raptor Cloak, he doesn't really want to complete into an item, but it means when you're split pushing, you get so much movement speed around those turrets. So, extra ability, and yes, they're still 7k goal behind, but that is the best case scenario for Diabolus.
That was a great case scenario. Yeah, they lost the fight, but they got the Baron. This means they can hold out for so much longer into the Fnatic siege. And the next real kind of point for Fnatic really is the Elder Drake.
But they've still got an Infernal. Yeah, they've got an Infernal for this one. Again, you don't want to give over the Infernal, but sometimes that happens. But still, a long time before that Elder's on the table, and the gold gap's closing. It's now about 6,000. Remember, it was like 10,000 5 or 6 minutes ago, and later in the game, gold gaps are less significant. So Diabolus definitely closing things up a bit.
But Culling's on. Magic Felix takes a big chunk of damage, looks to go into the fight. The route onto Hado, gets himself a 3-man taunt. The dunk is available. The Marcia is coming in, and that's going to be multiple members. And X-Matty finds himself a kill already. But Croxton has launched into the fight. Magic Felix jumps out, but X-Matty has found himself a double kill. Shikari is entering in, and Prosper will go down. Yusa takes him out, and Shikari is getting liquefied by Yusa, by Kerberos. He's looking to go down. The res is coming out, and Magic Felix goes golden for the moment. He gets picked up by Kerb. Shikari is there. X-Matty is in and out of the fight, and he is down. Only one member of Fnatic remains, and Diabolus get themselves a massive fight and a massive turnaround.
What a messy fight, but Diabolus just come out ahead. Crucially, Croxton survived for so long, and honestly, that might have been down to Prosper knocking him away from a situation where I thought he was going to go down, but Diabolus get the advantage, just starting to make a push, and that gold gap is looking a lot less significant now.
It's starting to melt. Level 17 on Curb. He's got the Maiden, he's got the Baron buff, and he is going to be able to rip through these turrets. Look at the damage from the Q. The Triforce is just doing so much work for him. They don't commit for the inhibitor, as the members of Fnatic are now coming back. But big turnaround, massive gold regeneration for Diabolus, and it was looking dicey 4 minutes ago, 4 or 5 minutes ago. Now it's looking like Diabolus are in with a chance of actually taking this game.
Absolutely. They've closed the goal gap to about 5,000. It's half what it was early in the game. And when you look at who was picking up all that shutdowns, that Yorick is getting very strong and is a monster in the late game. The Cassiopeia picked up that Void Staff, pumping out tons of damage.
Oh, he's gone ZZs. He is so ready to split push, dude. All right. 40 seconds until that Infernal Drake is coming up here, and you feel like both of these teams are really going to want this. This will be their second Infernal, be a big power spike for them. Fnatic have been first to the punch for the warding and control of the area, but they haven't committed enough members quite around to be able to stay in the pit.
Yeah, so Diabolus going to push a lane at mid and then rotate over. They might just... It's 15 seconds, so Fnatic should still be able to move down. But you can see they are playing way more tentative now. Fnatic no longer confident. The Olaf and Gnar are way less significant. Yeah,
the burn just did 1/3 of Shikari's HP. Culling's coming down as well. X-Matty is actually taking a fair amount of the brunt of that. Prosper gets half HP.
I think they just have to give it up. I think they've lost presence on that dragon, and their front line just isn't strong enough anymore. They really need Matty to carry. But the thing is, on the other side, Kerberos is a massive threat. Croxton is a huge threat, and Yusa is still putting out a lot of damage, whereas it has to be the X-Mighty show on the other side, and one member against 3 can make things dicey because Magi Felix and Shikari just don't really have the damage in these team fights.
All right, 1 minute 20 until the Baron Nashor is up again. This could be another really big point. We saw such a big fight come out there. Fnatic lost their grip on the game from that one fight at Baron buff. Void Staff has been finished up onto Croxton. He is getting into a dangerous territory, a scary territory, that late game area that you were talking about. Level 17, the Essence Reaver, the Blade of the Ruined King, the Black Cleaver, the QSS is all in Yusa's pocket here. X-Matty not opting for a QSS, going towards the
I think there's
limited
amount of things to QSS. I'd assume a Bloodthirster, he could go for the Essence Reaver, but it might be a bit too aggressive. But he literally needs to 1v9 for his team right now. Because, I mean, his front line can do all they can, but they just don't have the damage to shut down the members of Diabolus who are pumping out so much. And now with Baron on the cards in 30 seconds, double Infernal on Diabolus now with double Ocean. They have just double the Dragons for Fnatic. They're in a really solid position for this.
Now, Shikari will have his teleport coming up. Curb, recognizing that, placed the ZZ Rot down as far away as possible to force Shikari to go deal with it. So he could get the inside track and at least be with his team, so he doesn't have to fall prey to the missing teleport for himself. But it looks like Dabalus want to get a little bit of poke and prodding off before they go for the fight.
Crucially, look where Magifelix is. He wants a flank. He's waiting in base with home guards. That's how they're going to try and win this game. Question's going to be, will they be able to make it work? Because it's late in the game,
Yeah,
and Croxon and used to have a way out of CC.
Predator was used. You see both of the teams are just splitting the map on the opposite side. You're on the wrong end, and Croxon rips through Shikari. Shikari melts to him
That's
already.
not a good
Just
TP.
hit Twin Fangs. That's going to be the teleport. The cleanse is already on. 1 kill for Yusa. A 2-man headbutt polarized by Press4 is so big. Oh, the gnaw! It's disgusting. Banano turns it around. A shutdown over to 1 already. And members of Fnatic are just melting. Kerberos comes up huge with a double kill. And Fnatic get wiped by Dabalus.
Shikari tries to make the miracle play, but with Magifelix going down straight away and Maddie unable to carry the team fight, Diabolus come out strong. It looked dicey for a long time, but the late game comes through.
ZZ Rot is coming back up as well here.
I don't think
the
it matters.
flash in by Kerberos.
They
are
are just
going to be
gonna
able
end.
to take down these turrets faster than Fnatic can respawn. That's going to be the flag for the attack speed, and Dan has to hold versus 5. He's got the stone plate on, but he is CC'd for days. A delayed ace by Diabolus, and they retain their spot at the top of the tower.
And prove my prediction right.
I was right.
We did it.
Yes! Alrighty.
Take that, scoundrel.
What a win as well.
It was close. It was tight. We expected it from the tower challenge, but what a game. And Diabolus had the mental fortitude to hold on. It looked dicey in the early stages, particularly Krogson, who I'm going to say he entered in the early phases, and he just came back strong.
For me, we have our MVP. It is Kerberos. I do want to give a big shout out to Krogson because his mental was unbreakable. He had a rough start, but this man here also had a rough start, and then he came up huge. 85% kill participation, and he just did so much work for Dabalus.
The thing is in that team fight in the mid game, I wish you could have seen it again because he managed to kill. He finished off the Olaf and got a shutdown, and then he managed to land the globule onto Xmai. The ghouls chased him, and then he flashed and just spade him into the ground.
Get down!
And got massive shutdowns from both of them. And it's
Now-
the fact that we know Yorick can split push. We've seen that so many times, but he just made his presence known in the team fights as well.
Now, this doesn't actually mean Fnatic have lost the Tower Challenge. They have a chance next week. At the beginning of next week's show, there will be a rematch where Fnatic will have to try and take on Dabalus again, and they really need to look at their game plan coming into this because they had a great start, they had a great mid, and then
They just got out of skill. They couldn't finish it out, and we've seen a clean calculate Fnatic who fell apart here and couldn't find the execution, and they tried to do the same thing again and again and again. They had this Cassandra, they had this
and I think
Olaf, and it works until it doesn't.
I think the slow style of Fnatic is what really bit them in the bum there.
Yeah.
They play very slow, and Dabalus recognized that, so they just went for some scaling. They lost early, but they knew that Fnatic are very slow. They're not pushy with their advantage. They don't go for it.
Yeah, and what I really like is the fact that because they went for this Yorick, it kind of forced Shikari to take the Gnaw, something that can match it. And it meant that when those TP flanks came in, it wasn't the Shikari Magifelix show, which we saw so well earlier. It was just Magifelix. And that TP at the end, I mean, I said it was coming in. That's not a TP you want to take, but you can't cancel it at that point.
You don't want to teleport into a Taunting Galio, but let's have a little look at our scoreboards coming out of the end of Week 5. You can now see Fnatic Rising are tied with Diabolus, 14 points each, 2 times Tower Champions, but M&M have been able to overtake XL in the standings. XL now in 4th place, 1 point behind, but a good week for Enclave, a good week for Barrage, could actually still put them in playoff potential.
Yeah, all feeling as well. So there is a chance. XL really need to sort things out if they don't want to get caught up on, but the fight for first place is getting fiercer because on next week, the first game will basically decide it, because I believe if Fnatic win the challenge, they get the extra point to go to first. If Diabolus win, then they will defend it and claim first place. So it's a heated tower rematch.
But even in Week 7, there's still a chance for the first place to be switched around still. So
yeah,
it's actually we're not going to be decided till the end of this tournament realistically, unless like Diabolus win the Tower Challenge.
It's always back and forth. It's just like they're neck and neck, and the tower rematch decides who won out in Week 5. But then we still have Week 6 to go and Week 7. There's so much more. And what great games.
What great games. Now, guys, over on our Twitter, LVP UK, at the end of today's show, we'll be putting our vote up for who your unsung hero was, for the player who didn't get MVP but maybe deserved it. Mine kind of goes to Krogson. I have a place in my heart for someone who ints mid lane but then still wins.
I mean, it's
what I do. It's my
a hit
special
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to give quite a bit of credit to Yusa because he had a very
Yusa
slow
played
early
very well,
game, but later on he just came on and he was so aggressive and unrelenting. And I like to say it because we saw Monk be aggressive and unrelenting, but he also inted. But we saw Yusa do it solid.
That vote will be going up shortly after the show has ended. But if there were any games from this week you've missed out, make sure you do head over to our YouTube channel, LVP UK, and you can catch up on all of the previous VODs from games that have gone by.
Yeah,
What game? I feel like...
I want to watch that one back again. I want to watch the team fights because
They were good.
That team fight where Kerberos managed to get that double kill was huge. There was one where I believe Prosper, like, Crogston got a huge petrifying gaze, and then as the CC was coming off, I thought he was going to die instantly, but then Prosper headbutted him away, and it's sort of like, was it a good thing because he might have saved Matty, but also it just pushed Crogston to safety, so it was a bit of I wanted to watch it all back and break it down.
There were some great games yesterday as well, though.
Absolutely.
Game 3 yesterday was insane. That was XL versus Phelan. No, Barrage. XL versus Barrage. That was a...
There've been a lot of good games.
That was a bloody fantastic game, actually. I really enjoyed that one. We've had some really good games so far.
I'm just sad.
Why?
I have to wait a whole week till we get more.
I mean, YouTube, man. You go catch
True,
up.
you guys can catch up and keep watching it, but unfortunately, we're
We're locked out. They don't even let us in. They just lock the door.
You get let out?
Yeah.
They just locked
Thank
me
you.
into a cage in the corner, and I'm stuck there for the week.
They just feed you, what, Cheerios? Is it like Monsters Inc. where they lay the Cheerios
No,
on
they
the
don't
floor
actually
and you
even
just
feed
slowly walk in?
Cheerios because I had nothing to eat. So you know the padding that fell off the wall and the ceiling, the foam padding. I've been eating that, the insulation. You know.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us here at Week 5 of the UK League Championship. We will be back 6 o'clock on Wednesday next week for Week 6. So until then, we'll see you later.
See ya.